Right, okay, it is Street Talk time. As we said earlier, this is going to be this is an early edition of the podcast. We're recording this on Thursday. We have not yet seen Friday's episode. I've got no idea what's going to be happening tomorrow. So if you're listening to this on Thursday night, very, very up to date. Well done. You are also in the same timeline as us. If you waited for the weekend, you know more than we do about what's happened. So good for you, good for you.
Some of you always know more than we do.
Well, I'm sure there are some listeners that are eagerly reading every little ounce of spoiler information that there is out there, but not us. So we are talking about Sunday to Thursday. But before we get on to that, we have got some lovely, lovely clickbait that has been sent by our lovely unloyal listener, Jonathan. So are you ready for this, Gemma?
You said lovely unloyal.
No, I said lovely and loyal. Lovely loyal, like fish and chips.
Love and loyal.
Right. I got a couple from the Mirror, a couple from the Manchester Evening News today, Gemma. So Mirror, right? Coronation Street teen set for shock diagnosis following weird scenes.
Sam.
Yes, it is Sam.
He's got something paranoia, hallucinations.
The article suggests schizophrenia is what Sam's going to be diagnosed with, which I can't say I know enough about to... Is it the same thing or not? But you've said before on a few podcasts that hallucinations and paranoia is maybe a side effect of Ritalin abuse or
ADHD medication
abuse.
I never even considered he could have been developing a psychosis, but it is true that it's an early onset. Once you've ended your 20s, it's fairly unlikely you're going to ever get it.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay. Oh, I hope not. I love little Sam.
No, well, I mean, look, nobody wants to have that kind of thing happen, but you can control many of these things with medication.
And it's just a Corrie illness anyway. It probably won't get mentioned again after.
It's only going to get mentioned as a funny joke in about 10 years' time.
I have been really, really impressed with Jude's performances. I think he's great. Like every time Sam's on screen at the moment, I'm like, oh yeah. Even though it possibly is where we are at the moment, plodding a little bit in terms of, oh, he's having another hallucination, oh, now here's another hallucination, oh, here's another hallucination, and he still hasn't quite realised that that's what's going on with him yet,
well, we're convinced that is true.
Well, we're saying it's not been, there's been clues on screen this week. Well, there's been outright evidence on this because we know that he saw Megan and Will together, but Will was confirmed to be in the pub.
How are we ever going to know? We're just going to assume that every time he sees Will and no one else is around, it wasn't real.
At some point, he's probably going to try talking back to him, or maybe even giving him a kick in the ghoulies. Maybe
we can talk back to him when he wants. He's done that before. It doesn't make a difference to a hallucination. Hallucination's not going to be like, I can't believe it. You've unveiled. I'm not real.
I'm not even real. I'm not even here. I would hope that maybe Friday's episode it's found out because that storyline is moving slow-ish compared to some of the other stories this week, which
with running a soap where you have half your audience has already guessed this or spoken about it on the internet, and the other half is not actually going to know until it gets revealed, and then it will be completely a shock.
Yeah, well, I know exactly. Like, I think it was Friday or Saturday, I saw somebody posting somewhere online, "Hey everybody, I've got this wild, crazy theory. Indulge me in this, I think I might be right. I think, get this, I think that Steve and Ben might actually be half brothers, and Jim was the person that Maggie slept with," and everyone was like, we know.
That's not fair. It's not their fault.
No, it's not, but you're right. Just because we say we guess things, and half the bloody time, more than half the time we're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and also, if you can't guess it, it's because they didn't do a very good job of setting up the possibility. They have to add in some kind of evidence.
I don't think they're particularly hiding it, but equally they're not making it so obvious that
it's not like he floats around and waves his arms and goes whoa.
No, exactly. So anyway, we'll see.
Sorry.
No, go on.
They have passed up the perfect opportunity to actually have a ghost haunt Sam. Like, of all the people who've seen a ghost, Sam is currently the person who feels like the most logical. Like, is he going to see Natasha?
Maybe.
It'd be so sad. Imagine if you wasted your hallucination powers on Will.
It feels like most people on Coronation Street, when they're having hallucinations, there's only one ex-cast member that they see.
We don't have the budget for anyone but me.
Yeah, Lauren's is Joel exclusive. Yasmin was only Jeff.
Yeah.
Carla,
It's weird. You would have thought she would have wanted Sharif to come and have a pop in, but no.
Okay, next one from the Mirror, Gemma. Coronation Street fans work out who's targeting Sam, but it's not Will.
Megan.
Yes, I'm
who else could it be?
I don't know. Himself. He's targeting himself with his.
It's Leanne.
No, some people on some Facebook group said that maybe Megan is using an AI app to replicate Will's voice, and that's who phoned him the other week. So close, so close. Although I do wonder, what went on with that phone call?
I don't know.
We didn't see anything that happened after that. Did Sam tell Leanne? Did Leanne did anybody phone at all?
No.
And Sam was on the end of the phone, not answering, and then they phoned up Leanne the next day and said, "I phoned up yesterday. Sam answered.
Hi,
I was talking to him, but you just dropped the phone on the floor. How rude."
Hi, this is EDF Energy. We're just calling to see when we can send an engineer out to install your smart meter. Leave me alone, stop bullying me. Well, we know a lot of customers don't actually want this new technology, but we can offer you cheaper bills if you install it now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we still haven't got our smart meter, have we? Because it involves
we
hacking
can't
up our
afford
kitchen.
No, I'm not having it.
No. Anyway, so I don't know.
They can pay to sort it out. If they want to install it, they can cut the cupboard up themselves. I'm not doing it.
It feels like the time is right for me to have it officially revealed that Sam is seeing things, and maybe somebody find out about it, but I don't know. But although we did suggest in the bonus podcast this week that his tendency to hallucinate may well play into something in the murder episode. Will he see something, or will he think he's seen something?
I thought I was killing Will, but I accidentally killed Megan.
Maybe he sees, if Will's the only person that he sees, maybe he's going to see Will murder somebody. Or maybe he'll see Will's body on the floor when it's actually. Do
you think you can hallucinate? I know. Look, I don't think he's got schizophrenia, and I don't know whether they're really. I would hope. I don't know. Some of these things I like. It doesn't need to be an issues-based storyline. It doesn't need to be realistic. Is it possible for him to see somebody do something, but it's actually him doing it? Is that possible?
Oh,
I mean, in a horror movie, it is.
In mysterious
there's a whole horror movie where that actually happens. At the end is a twist.
So he's going to murder Maggie, but actually he'll see Will doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Tell you what, if that's not what's happening, the scriptwriter's probably listening to this right now and saying, is it too late to change it and refilm it in the next 2 weeks?
If it is possible, can I please sign up for this and watch myself do the housework? I'd love to have a nice sit while I tidy up.
Okay, Manchester Evening News, Gemma. Coronation Street fans baffled as Ben Driscoll and Eva Price scene causes distraction.
Is this the giant inflatable kitchen?
Yes, it is the giant inflatable kitchen. You're right. Well done. So what is going on with that Rover's kitchen?
What was the point of that? It was so unnecessary.
Well, I would hope and think that there's going to be more going on in that kitchen at some point soon that necessitated the massive TARDIS-like expansion that it underwent this week. But yeah, peculiar.
It's honestly, it really is frustratingly pointless that they cannot just pick a size for it. Pick a size. Just commit yourself.
It's peculiar.
Is it like, because before when they renovated, it had I thought it had an island. And it was even bigger than that.
Maybe.
And
I don't know, I'd have to check.
It's much bigger than it should be, but it's not as big as it has been. It's been about 4 different sizes.
Corrie sets have had a tendency to change a fair bit over the years. Check out our video, Changing Sets of Coronation Street.
Please do on YouTube.
The Rover's return has gained an extra window upstairs since it's moved to Media City, for example.
That's fine.
All sorts of changes. Rosamond Street has been massively abridged, but the Rover's kitchen, and I know they don't use it very much, but it's peculiar that they're going back and forth between sizes of it. Back in the 90s, it was massive when they had that scene with Alec Gilroy and the tarantula, and then it went back to being a galley kitchen again for many years, and then I can't remember what was going on. Was it about 5 years ago or so?
It was when Jenny and Daisy went in there.
It was massive again. Then it shrunk back to being a galley kitchen again, and
now it's slightly widened.
Yeah. I don't get it. Do they think they won't notice?
We won't
notice, or do they think we don't care? Does it really matter? Is it just us
being really nitpicky?
Matter,
but it's it's a question of reality. It's just...
It is a total question of reality, and there are many bits of reality. You know, we will suspend disbelief about many things when watching a soap.
Yes, some things are okay, but other things it just starts to be insulting, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose The Rovers is the set over the years that's had the biggest number of changes happen to it. I mean, already, you know, we had the Select back in the 60s and 70s, didn't we? Which
yeah, a lot.
didn't
We
fit
say this quite a
anywhere
lot, and I don't
whatsoever.
know that everybody knows what we're talking about, but in the old days, Coronation Street's pub was divided into several rooms, and the bar area was actually cordoned off from everything else. So when you get to the end of the bar, there was a door, and you'd have to go through that door to get to what was called the snug. And back in the very old days, in almost every pub, the bar area would be for men only. And some, you know, women could get away with standing there, but it would be rowdy behaviour, bad language, men just cutting loose, and the ladies would be invited to sit in the snug area, which is the seated area, which is a bit more genteel and a bit more polite.
And
right?
that's still kind of there now, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
not
that's
walled
just round
up,
the
but it's just
corner.
round the corner of the bar, you know, where they got a few other...
Well, there's
sofas and
like
things.
it's just
The
like the
fireplace.
opposite wall to where the door is.
Yeah.
And beyond that used to be something called the Select.
Well, it used to be if you stood where like the standard Rovers booth is now, you'd go in a little area on the right to get to the snug, and a little area on the left to go to the select. So you didn't have to go through the snug to get to the select, but that was a little. Who knows how...
It was a giant function room, actually.
Yeah.
It had you could have a stage at one end. You could have several, maybe, I don't know, 6 tables and chairs in there.
It absolutely dwarfed the Rovers kitchen this week, I'll tell you that. It was
It's
huge.
probably bigger than the entire footprint of the current Rovers.
But after the Rovers burnt down in the fire in 1986, that's when they decided to quietly retire the idea that there was a select there. And it's even so the Rovers doesn't fit into the footprint that's there for it already, does it?
No.
Like the back room should be out in the middle of Osmond Street at the moment, but I don't like what they've done there with the kitchen.
I don't mind it as long as they
it's
pick one and stick with it.
Yeah,
that's
pick and
my
stick.
issue.
It's they don't say, which Nick actor shall we have this week? Today we'll have Ben Price. Then we'll have Adam Rickett back for a couple of bits, and then back to Ben Price again. Then maybe a Warren Jackson can do it for a few episodes just to give the other two a break. It's literally the same as it's not the same as that because the Rovers kitchen isn't used very much, but utterly bizarre. And I do just wonder, have they done it because they need to have some proper kitchen action going on in the next couple of weeks, and they wanted to establish, yes, it's this size again.
Yeah, that's probably it, because the scene they had was pointless.
It could have very easily have happened in the normal back room.
Maybe Ollie's going to get a story about cooking.
Oh gosh, it could be, couldn't it? Big Ollie cooking storyline. Okay, Manchester Evening News, Gemma. Coronation Street fans demand character become full-time and nothing bad can happen to him.
Raphael.
Yes, you are getting this is 4 for 4 this week, Gemma.
I'm pretty
Well done.
good.
So Raphael, we saw back in the Chariot Square this week. He had a line, didn't he, which was lovely.
Yeah, he did. He said, I can't believe these silly cows are drinking
Not quite
all
that.
the booze.
Not quite that. I can't remember what exactly.
It was
he
something to do with
talking about.
martinis.
Yeah, it was something about Sean Connery, wasn't it? Anyway, so I concur with this fact.
Yeah, bring him in.
He kind of is full time in a way. He's always there.
He's one of these extras that you notice, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a supporting artist.
Yes, he is. He's just very visible.
I love him.
Nothing
bad can happen to him. I agree.
I agree with this. Right, you're not going to get this last one, Gemma. So this is finally from the Manchester Evening News. Coronation Street fans say uncanny as David Platt star compared to Hollywood actor.
Meryl Streep.
No, sadly not.
Jack Nicholson.
No, although the comparison has been made many a time.
Jack Nicholson's son.
You'll only get this if you've seen a post that he put on his Instagram this week.
Give me a clue.
Alrighty then.
Oh God, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, particularly in When Nature Calls, because he posted a picture of himself side by side with Ace Ventura, holding a little bird and his legs striding apart. And he didn't look too much, dissimilar to him, but might have just been the pose and the bird on his arm that did it, really.
Probably wouldn't rewatch that one.
I think I preferred When Nature Calls to Pet Detective.
Which one's the transphobic one?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. But Nature Calls is the one where he hides inside the rhinoceros's bum. Yeah, that's the one. Anyway, look, we need to get started properly talking about this week's Coronation Street. You did a very good job on the clickbait, Gemma.
I'm pretty proud of myself.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's 4 out of 5.
Okay, so storylines this week. We are going to be starting off with all the goings on in the Rovers, and also Sam. You know, Ben and Steve and Will and Sam and Megan, they're all tied into one, aren't they? Well, I already kind of gave the name Willucinations on a short this week, which is what I'm calling the Sam element of the storyline. But the story where we have the big reveal that Ben has a new father, I'm calling Da Da Da. Which,
that is surprise music.
It's surprise music. He's got a new dad, hasn't he? She
dead
laughed
as well.
more when I told her that the other day.
I did laugh. I
promise.
told you I'm flat today.
Right. The debt's been paid and Carl hasn't, is what I'm calling the Debbie storyline, because she's out of prison, a debt's been paid, Carl has not been paid. That was a terrible storyline.
That's
title.
okay.
I couldn't think of anything for that. We have got a little bit more of the Twisted Sister storyline with Jodie. Once Upon a Tim had a couple of scenes as well this week. As did the Doom and Groom story today. So, Rover's story. Do you want me to take this one as you're feeling a bit flat? But feel free to chip in with your comic interruptions.
I am full of jokes.
As you are wants to do. Right, so we're going back to Sunday. And it starts off with Steve coming around the pub, blissfully unaware that he's got his new brother in there, and he invites Ben to a county game next week. Also, he brings up the fact that Ollie was supposed to come around and see Amy today. And Maggie is very glad to hear that he didn't show, because she still knows, obviously, that they're cousins, and he doesn't want them doing anything inappropriate with each other.
Not illegal.
Yes. So the last time we saw Ben and Maggie, she had made a slip up, hadn't she, and said that line about Alan.
Well, she said you're picking his over him over your flesh and blood, and for some reason this really stuck in Ben's mind, which I don't think would stick in your mind, because it just sounds like a slip of the tongue. But
well, yeah, exactly. He says that I know you. Everything you say is very measured and considered, and you don't make slips of the tongue, Ma. So what's all this about? And she goes into the back with him. Meanwhile, we got Toya and Leanne, who are telling Brian that Sam's okay now. Little do they know. Just a bit of exam stress, they said. Seeing a counsellor at school, it's all good. But it's Easter holidays now. Finally, it's reached Easter holiday time in Manchester. And they start to bicker a little bit because the counselling is pausing over the holidays, and Leanne says, look, you used to be a counsellor. Don't you know anybody that could set Sam up with somebody? And Toy's like, no, it don't work like that. That would be a misuse of my counselling powers or something along those lines.
that was weird.
And Sam, bless him, is there. His therapy talk is being broadcast for all and sundry in the cabin to hear. And there's a couple of other teenagers there, aren't they? And he doesn't like this, so he kind of snaps.
Bad for his street cred.
And then storms out. Exactly. Meanwhile, we've got Eva and Will in precinct. They're at Sweet Enough. He's got a lovely Sunday. He's being grumpy as per. She's trying to say
they're eating a glass full of shaving foam.
But yeah, you made a few astute observations about this scene as we were watching.
You never see him eat it, and then he takes a big mouthful and it cuts away, and then he starts chewing like he's got something to chew in his mouth, and he just took a mouthful of cream.
Well,
then he also opens his mouth and there's nothing in there.
Quite rarely do they actually show actors
acting.
tucking into food, and usually it's because it's something horrible that's been made up to look like what it's supposed to be, and it's not even hot. But yeah,
I don't think that they would be able to have a sundae, because we've known when they've had like an ice lolly or something, they have to go through like a whole packet or two just for one scene to film, like a really short scene. So this can't have been real. That can't have been real.
Unless it was industrial strength chantilly that was on the top of that.
No, even when you have squirty cream, I know Americans think it's funny we call it squirty cream. Whipped cream. It's not whipped though, it's from a can. It melts, doesn't it? It loses shape really quickly. I want to know what it was that they ate, what was on there.
Well, they also had the bit where Eva was saying, oh, you got it down your chin, and then we see from behind Will's head that she's wiping his mouth, and then it cuts just a little bit too quickly back to his face again, and there's no residue there whatsoever. So
I'm starting to think this is all a lie.
I think they're just acting and making it up as they go along, honestly.
So
anyway, look, Eva says, Maggie just wants what's best for you, okay? So I know she's been making things difficult, but honestly, she just wants the family to be content and happy and united together. And he's like, no, she killed the baby. I almost let slip there and said she killed my baby. It's a good job he didn't do that. But he's still somewhat irate at his grandma because the baby's dead. He knows it's his, but he can't let on that that's what the situation is. And Eva says, look, it's not even confirmed what happened. And he says, well, I don't care. I believe Megan over grandma, actually, so there's nothing I can do about it. And she says, just don't turn your back on this family. One day, you're going to need us. And it looks like she's been able to talk him round because he's actually smiling, a rare Will smile that we got.
It's quite incredible.
Yeah, and she says, right, you're going to have to apologise to Sam. Okay? So, back in the Rovers, we've got Maggie and Ben in the back room. And because he's had a bit of a wobble in the bar, I forgot to mention that earlier. He has a bit of a funny turn, doesn't he? And she's like, go to hospital. No, I'm fine, Ma, he says. And he takes the opportunity to ask again about this flesh and blood comment that she made. And she's like, no, I didn't mean anything by it. Honestly, some things are best left in the past. And he's like, that sounds super suspicious. I'm going to phone up Finley and see if he knows anything about this. And she's like, no, he doesn't know anything. Oh, doesn't know anything about what? He comes back with. And she's like, okay, I'm going to come out with it. Alan's not your real dad.
I can't believe that she caved so quickly.
I know. I would have thought that she was, she's had a bit of a reputation for being a tough nut to crack.
But she's like, oh, okay, all right, okay, don't call Finley. See, this is what maybe we're still not really sure which child it was, although it's supposed to be obvious.
No, I think it is obvious. I think you're really insistent that it's supposed to be a mystery, but we know which boy was which in the flashback episode. It was Finley that saw Alan falling down the stairs, and Maggie doesn't. I mean, go on.
Maggie doesn't want Finley had to have anything to do with any of this because as soon as people start asking questions about Alan, he might come out with, she killed,
Yeah.
She was there when he fell down the stairs at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's why she said it, because the threat of Finley would have...
It's worse if everyone finds out that she killed Alan than it is for Ben to find out that Alan wasn't his dad. In fact, maybe it'll soften the blow when he finds out that Alan was killed.
Yeah, at least...
Like, it wasn't your dad, though, was it? Come on, give me a break.
So, poor Ben has to come to terms with the fact that she cheated on his dad with a British soldier, no less. And she said, well, I didn't know that he was a soldier when it happened. He was just some fella in a club. And when he asks for his name, she says she doesn't know. So she's still lying to him at this point, hoping that this truth doesn't come out, which made it was peculiar to me that it all came out in that episode. Because within 15 minutes or so, it was known by all and sundry, wasn't it?
Apart from Will.
Yeah, exactly. So that was great in today's episode. So anyway, he says, look, Alan knew that I had an affair, but he didn't want it to come out. And he's like, I can't be dealing with this.
Yeah, sure. Do you believe that? I can't remember. I really need to watch this episode.
That's what they were arguing about when he fell down the stairs. So he knew that she'd had...
Yeah, he knew that she'd had an affair, but she's making it sound like, oh, it's all fine. He just didn't want anyone to know about it. So that's why I didn't tell you.
Well, she's also not being truthful about how long this relationship went on, isn't she? She, from what we understand from Jim's mates who were there at the funeral, this was something that went on for a period of time, wasn't it? Whereas she said to Ben, oh no, it was just, a one night stand in a bar. So, I mean, I don't know what difference it makes, particularly for the way the story goes, but hey, it doesn't really matter. I suppose it makes her look worse if he knows that she was cheating on his dad for an extended period, I suppose. But anyway, he goes into the bar. He's absolutely fuming at her, as I would say he should be at this point. So back to the Sam part of the storyline. Will comes into the bistro to apologise to him, and he holds out his hand, and with a bit of a push from Leanne, Sam shakes it. But he just looks zoned out, doesn't he? All week. That's his kind of default.
He looks, very spaced out, yeah.
Yeah. Now he hasn't had any Will hallucinations yet, has he, by this point? But he just doesn't know. He doesn't know what's going on, and he's also. It's because he's like so sure that this affair is going on, and yet Megan is denying it. Will's denying it. Eva and Ben don't seem to be doing a whole lot.
No, nothing's happened. Nothing's happened at all.
No, and
he's scared of Megan.
And he's probably starting to think, because he will have, even though he might not have hallucinated about Will by this point, he's probably thinking there's something not right about me, and maybe he's wondering, did I make up all of the stuff that I knew I saw about those two together?
I don't know.
Like, he doesn't know what's reality and what isn't at the moment. Yeah.
Poor kid.
I know. So back to Ben, and he's knocking back whiskies in the bar. Maggie's trying to get him back into the back room, and he's like, no, I don't want anything to do with you, man, not at the moment. And then Steve comes in right on cue. Maggie's absolutely squirming at this point. And then when Steve mentions that Ollie did come round to see Amy after all, it's like all alarm bells ringing for Maggie there, and she's like, Ollie's alone. Oh no, she's gone a bit Scottish there. Ollie's alone with Amy, she says in her best British accent, and she darts out to go and stop this unholy union that may well be being consummated the other side of the wall. So yeah, they're snogging on the sofa. I think a lot of people, and me included, have just kind of lost track with who Ollie's supposed to be going out with at this point. Like, I don't know what happened with him and Lauren. Do you remember?
The last I thought, they were sort of like involved with each other, because Lauren was asking him what's going on with Will, and he wouldn't tell her. And we were discussing on the podcast, like, oh, would you tell your boyfriend or your girlfriend if you'd only been going out with them for a few weeks? Well, on the other hand, she's known this family for, she was at Christmas dinner with them.
Yeah, no, I can't say that I've been paying 100% attention to absolutely all minor aspects of Ollie and Lauren's love life.
That's
but
rude.
Anyway, hey, look, he's there with Amy, having a bit of a snog on the sofa at number one. I hopefully Ken wasn't just there sitting on the chair watching as it goes on.
Hopefully, but you can never tell.
Anyway, there's a knock on the door, and they have to get up. It's pretty frantic sounding knocking, and so Amy goes and gets it, doesn't she? And then Maggie comes in and says, "You can't go out with each other because you're cousins." Oh, crikey, it's all out there.
If she came in right, as far as Ollie and Amy, no, this has come out of completely nowhere.
I know.
Wouldn't you just think she was mad?
Yeah, you finally got a screw loose at last, Grandma.
Why are you saying this? What are you talking about?
See, Amy's used to all this crazy stuff happening now. She's been on this show for long enough. But poor Ollie. That is definitely gonna definitely screw you up to think that was going on, and what could have possibly happened afterwards as well.
I can't remember when this happened because everything's kind of merged into one.
What do you mean?
But Ollie at some point says something like, "Oh, this kind of thing always happens to me."
Oh yeah, I think that was on Sunday's episode.
It doesn't though, does it, Ollie? This is the most exciting thing that has ever happened to
you. Yeah, poor Ollie.
The other day. No, first of all, now I'm cousins with the girl I'm snogging. Last week they tried to sell me shiitake mushrooms, but they're actually button mushrooms.
Poor old Ollie.
I won't even get into the fact they tried to sell me chicken legs and they were separated into drums and thighs.
You thought he was going to get a little bit of action, but it sadly was interrupted by this massive family revelation.
And he hasn't got the good sense to start buttering Lauren up now because he's lost one prospect.
Yeah, that's true. So pause that. This storyline's going back and forth like anything here. Sam and Leanne, I should have rearranged my notes better, but hey ho, there you go. They're back at the flat later, and she's trying to convince him that Will definitely sounded genuine with this apology, and he's like, oh, yeah, he kind of like nodding because he has to. And this is when we get his first little hallucination, which starts audio and turns into full-on Technicolor by the end of the week, isn't it? So it's Leanne's phone ringing, picks it up, and it's Will saying, "I'm not sorry, and I don't want to be your mate, because I'm coming for you." Straight away, I think from that episode, we were like, that one Will, weren't we?
Yeah. I think it's because I decided, when was it? A week ago or so?
I don't remember.
That I was as soon as I come up with a theory, I'm like, well, that's clearly it. And there's not really much that can dissuade me. So I'm just running off that theory.
Yeah.
But I don't see that it was clearly, obviously not real. There was nothing about it that made you go, oh.
No, I think from Sunday's episode, it could definitely have been seen to be real. But I don't know. I think it probably would have been a really risky move for Will to have done if it was him, wouldn't it?
Phoning up Leanne's, because first of all, that's not. How would he get her number?
Yeah, that's actually, you're right. That's the biggest clue on the episode.
How does he know that she's not going to answer the phone herself?
Yeah.
And then why would Sam answer her phone? I mean, I think him even picking the phone up is a hallucination because I think Sam's the sort of child that would never answer someone else's phone.
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't even answer my mum's phone, and I'm an adult.
I suppose Will might have got Leanne's number through Eva, mightn't he? Might have been having a bit of a snoop. Not that any of this happened.
Didn't happen. So
I suppose that could have explained it. But hey, back to the main drama, and this is Maggie kind of having to do her bit of an exposition dump about what happened, and she's like,
"This is why soaps are kind of fun because it's built into the format, isn't it? Like, I'm going to reveal something to you." And here's how it happened, because you would want to know the details. So this is what we've come up with in the writer's room.
All the grisly details. Even like, wasn't it one line Will has this week is about, he was having sex with my grandma.
That's how it works.
So Maggie finally makes it clear exactly what she saw inside the dressing room table. Not what was it called? The dresser, the Welsh dresser. Yeah. And it was a picture of Jim, which, Steve had in there. Because he was living there.
I bet you all the Corrie people were like, why do they think it's Peter, but it's not.
I was so
clever.
So convinced that it was Peter a couple of months ago that he saw it. Like, well, she saw it. It couldn't possibly be anything else, could it?
It's really interesting that...
It does make sense.
Yeah, so if it had been Peter, who was his dad...
Yeah.
Then Amy would have been his sister, not his niece.
Amy. No.
Peter's
not Amy's dad, they'd have still been.
What? No. Hang on. No.
Ollie would have been.
Peter and Tracy aren't related.
Peter and Tracy are twins. No, that's Susan, isn't it?
Peter and Tracy are both children of Ken.
Except, no, it's fine because Tracy
isn't
Ray.
Related.
They're not related. That would have been fine. That could have been a bit more of a juicy development, really, because actually that would have been absolutely fine because they're not related whatsoever by blood. So Maggie could have thought that they were related and gone round and stopped it, but it would have been no point because absolutely fine.
I'm still confused
because Tracy's not related to Ken.
No, I know she's not. I said that first.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, if it was Peter Barlow, then what would have... So, Steve's completely out of it. It kind of involves Tracy, but not by blood. Mm. Who would actually have been left on the street, apart from... No...
Yeah, I mean, not even Simon's there, so it probably works better.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been that exciting, would it? It'd be like, oh, you're related to a guy that used to live here.
Yeah. I think, as silly as it is, and it is, isn't it? We all know it's a bit silly. I do quite like Steve having a new brother in Ben. I think that the two actors bounce off each other quite well. And Steve's the silly one. Ben's the one that's got his head screwed on a little bit more. It's nice to have a few more serious scenes with Steve. The Tim dynamic sort of in the mix of it is quite good as well. So, yeah, as utterly ridiculous and massively, slightly retconny and suspension of disbelief. And come on, we're literally months. Not even how many months have passed? 2 since we found out that Carl was actually Debbie's son and not her brother. They can't keep up this pace of you're actually related to so and so, but despite all of that, I'm like, yeah, I'm really quite invested in it, and I like the idea of those two being bros.
Yep, me too.
So anyway, she says she saw the photo in the dresser. It would have been nice to have got the photo out, and I still think that we should have had that scene a couple of weeks ago where somebody was taking various photos out of the dresser, and one of the ones would have been Jim, and amongst others, just to get people theorising a little bit differently. But hey, And Ben's like, I went to this guy's funeral the other week, for heaven's sake. And Steve doesn't believe it. He says, Jim was never a cheat. Thank you very much, Steve. So that's what I was arguing the other week. And Maggie's like, no, it's true. He was 22.
He was a cheat.
He had a moustache and everything. So that's how we know. And he was away from his family and he was lonely. Amy is kind of, doesn't know what to deal with her. She kind of huffs off. And Ben, at this point, cheers up slightly when he's like, oh, that means we're brothers. But
Steve's not really happy about this, is he? Steve's like, no. Shut up about this now. I've already got a useless brother that I don't see.
Well, yeah, nice to have one nearby. Anyway, he finishes off the episode by taking up the funeral order of service and ripping it up.
Do you think it was the same photo? Or do you think they've got loads of photos? Because he was going through lots of different photos, wasn't he?
Well, it was a different... Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the order of service that Maggie saw because he was dead at that point.
No, Michael. But they could have gone, oh, we need a photo for the order of service. Open the cupboard. Oh, this one will do.
Oh, yeah. I guess it could have been. Anyway, so very exciting stuff.
I noticed they didn't use the soap magazine cover.
I feel gutted for Steve because it's another case of I've been lied to all my life, isn't it? Or is it? Because, for Jim didn't know he was a dad.
Well,
as far as he was concerned, he had a one-night stand, or was it? No, sorry, a little mini relationship with a woman, donkeys years ago. It doesn't affect Steve whatsoever. He had no reason to have told him, did he?
It is interesting to consider whether he did know that she was pregnant, because she says she's kind of insinuating he didn't, but did he know? I'm not interested in, honestly, I'm not interested in finding any of this out at this point. It's over and done with.
I agree.
I don't care, really. I'm sorry to say I don't really care. There's not enough time in an episode to get into this.
Don't need another flashback with young Jim or anything, so it's out there. It's happened now. But it was very, very exciting. Great Easter Sunday episode, which was set on Easter Sunday as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was nice to see an Easter episode. I liked it.
Yeah, well, last week on the podcast, I was thinking like they were catching up, and actually what was going to be broadcast on Sunday was Friday's episode.
There was much confusion.
There was a bit of confusion, with the Debbie storyline, particularly about what had gone on between the two episodes. But yeah, it was nice to have a Sunday episode. So Monday comes round, and we got Steve and Amy still trying to process what happened over breakfast, and she's like, you know what, Steve, this is Dad. This sort of thing happens to our family all the time. Remember Emma?
I know.
And then I think got Steve and maybe some other people like, who? Oh yeah, of course, Emma. So
you can't really get mad when you've done it yourself.
Well, he didn't. Well, no, it's a bit different, isn't it? A little bit different. So it just show how ridiculous this is, though, that in the same family, to the same person has had two people turn out to be secret relations. I mean, to have it happen once, like somebody who has been living in your vicinity, a neighbour, what's that? We're actually really closely related. Unlikely, I'm going to say. I don't know much about odds. I haven't learned too much from doing the bookie episode this week, but I'm going to say quite a large number to one that would ever happen. But to have it to happen twice, come on.
You can't complain about it. It's a soap.
Well, Amy said, "Don't worry, Dad. When I found out that I had a new sister, I thought it was weird at first, but soon I grew to love having her. So he'll be okay."
And now she's not here, so maybe Ben will move away.
Yeah, and so she says, "Look, just ring your mum and talk to her." And he can't because she's in the celebrity jungle in South Africa at the moment.
And Andy's like, fine, no one cares about me as usual.
Ben, meanwhile, and I know that the celebrity jungle in South Africa is pre-recorded as well before anybody tells me. We know. Ben, meanwhile, is at his laptop in the pub, stressed out about this mitomic dystrophy that he's been Googling all night. Now, you thought that he was jumping onto that a bit fast, didn't you? And like, well, where was the scene where it was revealed that that's what he might have?
I just thought there could have been a scene where that happened, but I guess they didn't want to write it in because they felt it was too similar to him finding out that he was his son. I just think, and I know you don't agree at all, that there were several scenes that I felt like we skipped in order to show something else that I wasn't as interested in.
There was a few jumps this week
because I know that it's half hour. Number one, you can only fit so much into 22 minutes, and the time still progresses anyway, and you're losing half an hour. So you have to, if you want something to happen on the same day, it has to happen in the same episode.
Yeah.
Right. So you are going to speed things up and drop things out. That's just not unavoidable.
I mean, they could have still, with this, had they wanted to, had Sunday's episode, he finds out that Jim's his dad. Monday's episode, he learns about the myotonic dystrophy. Tuesday's episode, he's been Googling it. So, I mean, it could have worked. They just didn't want to put it in there.
Well, it's also...
I know you're not a huge fan of the 30-minute episode format, but it has only been, 22 minutes odd over the course of the week that we're losing, isn't it?
I know, but I can't remember what else. I asked you to write it down. I can't remember what else.
You said you didn't enjoy the Debbie jump at the beginning of Sunday's episode, which I would
This is quite
somewhat agree
controversial.
with.
This is quite controversial. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, you should be able to work it out. You guys all need your hands being held here." I think that's a bit unfair to say because, number one, yes, we have had our hands held. When you suddenly flip the format and you say things have happened without showing, you're not sticking to the format that we're all accustomed to. We would have seen this. It's very unusual that we don't get to see something major like this happening. So yeah, it's not a question of we're all so stupid that we can't work it out. Of course we worked it out by the time we got to the scenes where they were saying Debbie was released from prison. We were confused because, number one, it's not normal for them to skip big scenes like that. And when they do, people always comment and say they got confused. And number two, the whole entire scene was like a dream. The music was playing over the top, which can often mean something quite unusual or strange is happening.
Yeah.
And the way that they filmed the cameras, angles and stuff, and the Annie Lennox stuff, it seemed like a dream. And then the transition was through white, a fade to white. And always in fiction, you watch a movie or a TV show, when something fades to white, it's indicating some kind of change of consciousness normally.
Yeah.
You're waking up from something, you're dreaming, you're going into a dream, you're dying, you're going to heaven. That fade to white has a symbolic meaning that exists beyond Coronation Street. And so if you fade to white, you're giving information to the audience that's been media trained on that to mean something very weird is happening to her consciousness.
Yeah, is
and
this
this
really
person
real?
is going through an incredibly traumatic change of consciousness with the fact that she's having early onset dementia. So of course we're all confused. It'd be weird if we weren't. We all picked it up by the time we got told.
Yeah, I think it's also because the format of
But I'm
Coronation...
not going to bash somebody for not getting it.
The other format of Coronation Street is that every episode follows on from the next episode.
Yes.
And they don't have any days
Yeah,
where
that's another good
nothing
point.
happens. Like, I bang on about it all the time, that Friday is directly followed by Monday most weeks. And we just have to assume that, the weekend... Literally, everyone was blackout drunk or hungover or something for those 2 days. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this time, and I know that here days had passed because it was Thursday going to Sunday. Was it Friday to Sunday? I don't remember now.
Yeah.
So the fact that something had happened on the actual day, like
without us seeing.
Yeah.
And the fact that the episode wasn't broadcast, and normally they would just pretend that episode was the Friday when it was a Sunday. Sorry, the precedent is there for confusion to have arisen, and it's Coronation Street's job to kind of mitigate that and to have worked out in advance, oh, actually, this is quite misleading, and I'm sure people are going to get confused.
Well, it's also left us with a little bit of confusion, and I'm sorry, we will get back to the Ben storyline in a minute.
We're having a big digression,
into the Debbie one at the moment. But I think there was still a bit of confusion around why is she out?
Yeah, why? I think they've mentioned it once or twice that she's getting out on compassionate grounds.
They didn't make it clear enough. And again, us who look at everything with a fine-tooth comb still being confused. A little bit confused. And I know I've said my memory's not as what it once was.
And we don't always pick everything up.
No, we don't. We don't. Sometimes we'll rant about something and then somebody will write in an email saying, well, actually, they said in this episode that and you missed it. You weren't paying attention. Fair enough. But it didn't seem like Lou last week was saying, oh, you got your appeal, I'm sure it's going to be fine, here's your 4-leaf clover with 5 leaves. And if they had maybe said something then about you don't deserve to be here, or it's not good for your mental health. You've
I
got
think
your
they
dementia.
have said that quite a lot, but
it
just doesn't. It just to me feels like it was missing. Anyway,
and they didn't mention it again, as far as I know, on Sunday's
if
episode.
only she had said on Thursday, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to go on the swings and listen to Birdsong by Annie Lennox.
It's almost like maybe they just realised that it wasn't Carl or Debbie that caused the accident that caused Billy to die.
So this is very embarrassing.
Sorry, it was John Sugden, wasn't it? Sorry, it was Becky Swain.
I am only a Corrie watcher, so I didn't realise that these Emmerdale people were carrying on.
Anyway, sorry though. Back to Ben and Maggie.
If you hear funny noises, it's because we're leaning against
a leather bed head. It's nothing. What's it called? Headboard. It's nothing untoward. Right. So Maggie is still trying to talk to Ben about this myotonic dystrophy as well, and he's like, "Oh, how long have you known?" "Oh, a little while," she says, and he's like, "Well, obviously, telling the truth isn't your style." Do you think? Would you say that if in Ben's shoes you'd be feeling similarly aggrieved by her not telling him about this condition?
Yeah, I'd be really annoyed.
It's only a few weeks, but he's probably thinking if you hadn't slipped up, if I hadn't pressed you, if I hadn't done my go on, what did you mean by that comment to you, then you would have kept this secret from me. But then equally, I think maybe it was Eva who said it later, like, if you didn't know about it, then would you have been any worse off? And there's nothing that you can do.
Because they might have started investigating sooner, and maybe his symptoms are linked to that condition. And I don't know because I haven't looked it up. But I think it's not impossible that some of the things that he's been going through might have been that. And if they'd known before that it's possible he had that genetic condition, they could have tested for it. And I don't know what they can do about it, but it certainly wouldn't be still wondering.
Yeah, or maybe change the medication in some way.
But
it's also none of
it's
not going to stop him having myotonic dystrophy.
It's not up to you to decide whether somebody should know something or not about their own medical health.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm assuming that he doesn't have it. Are you? Yeah,
I really think that that's going to be the only way around this, because it's quite catastrophic, isn't it?
Yeah, they've had storylines with the muscle wastage, just recently with the Paul storyline, but nobody is in the mood for a story where Ben has this condition. I mean, I don't even know how long. Just because he finds that he's got it, he's not all of a sudden going to start wasting away or anything, is he?
Well,
Jim had it all his life.
In his 60s.
Yeah, it would just be
whatever he was.
Just be a ticking time bomb there. I don't know. Maybe that means that if he knows that he's got it, is there any preventative measures that he can do to kind of make himself fitter, so that it doesn't affect? I don't know. Not a doctor. But anyway, yes, I'm not surprised that he's mad at Maggie, who's just trying to save her own skin, really, and embarrassment about the whole thing.
It is really interesting to consider, like, if she had privately had a word with the doctor, would the doctor have had any professional obligation to not say anything? You can't hide from a patient their own medical information anymore.
Ben just needs to look on the NHS app. Oh, it was just like that's like Ina Sharples with her daughter when she had her brain tumour, and the doctor was like, "I'm not going to tell her. She's only got a few weeks left." I was reading
the other day, apparently back in that period of time, they did surveyed doctors, and a very large percentage, I don't know, 80-90%, answered, "I wouldn't tell if my patient had cancer, I wouldn't tell them." Because there was no cure. There's nothing you can do. You're just going to die. So what's the point of telling them it's going to happen? Whereas now, obviously, they would tell you.
Yeah.
But like with Ben, I think the doctor be able to do it? Like, would they consider that to be credible information? Would they do a test based on somebody came and said something? Would they have to have proof? Because obviously it costs money to run these tests. Would they then say to Ben, "You've got myotonic dystrophy. We've tested you for myotonic dystrophy, and you do have it, and it's an inherited condition"? Or is it one of these conditions that, sometimes it's inherited and sometimes it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
it is really interesting.
Where did it start?
But it didn't.
Who was the head vampire of myotonic dystrophy?
There was an original. If we go back in time and kill them off.
Right, anyway, Steve finds Ben drowning his sorrows in the bistro later, and he brings up the condition. Is quite surprised to find that Ben already knows a little about it, and he says that he's already been to the hospital and let them know. Gemma's there going, why didn't we see that scene? I can't believe you're begging for hospital scenes, Gemma. I've been basking in the lack of hospital scenes in Weatherfield recently, and so we don't need to say any more.
There were three scenes, and I asked you to write it down, and I can't remember what they are, which is why I asked you to write it down.
It was last week. It was part of George's trial that we didn't see, wasn't it? We saw the verdict, but not the thing the day before. And also it was in today's episode, I think, when Christina said George has been told he's going to have to sell Shuttleworths, which we know he's not going to sell up Shuttleworths, is it? Sometimes I don't like it when they make big ultimatum-y threats on Coronation Street, because
it's like, go on, you're just winding.
No,
just winding.
It's going to be fine. Although again, sometimes the rug is pulled out from underneath us, and my blustered up bravado, my very confidence in myself, just gets thrown back in my face. But
see, I understand that
Shuttleworth will be fine.
I understand there's shorthand involved, and I do get it, and I'm not stupid, and I don't think anyone is stupid who says, they're skipping scenes. They can't show everything, but these scenes feel quite consequential, and normally they'd only drop scenes like that when they are replacing them with something else equally weighty, or they feel like it's repetitive.
Yeah.
Or they're having everybody find out the same thing, and they're like, we don't need 5 people to be told someone's died. Or it's a child being told, and they're like, well, we can't put this pressure on this actor. We're going to just cut away as soon as they get told the information. We don't see their reaction. But these are big, George, looking at the books and realising and telling Christina, I'm going to have to sell. That is huge. I'm going to have to sell my dad's business. He's had loads of scenes where he said, oh, goodness me, I've besmirched the name of Shuttleworth. I can't, I'm worried where I'm going to pay this off. That's from there to I'm selling is a huge leap. And all we get is Christina going, by the way, George is selling up. I would have liked to have seen that scene with Christina comforting him and saying, I've let everyone down. What will Glenda say? She was supposed to be part of this business too, and I told her I could look after it, and now I've done this, and what would Dad say if he was still around? And this, where none of that was in it, because they just went, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah, it surprisingly didn't bother me as much as it did to you.
You can see why, though.
Oh yeah, I can.
But why? So why are you making fun of me?
I'm not making fun of you
at
all.
You are. You're saying, oh, we should have had Ben go to the doctor, and we need to see this bloods get drawn. Then we should follow the bloods through the laboratory and watch it go from in one of those movies where it starts off with watching a letter travel through a letterbox into the sorting office, and then it gets put into the mailbag, and then it goes on the trolley, and then it gets put in someone's office in tray.
Is that the new kooky, wacky Coronation Street filming technique?
Yeah.
Did it from the Bloods point
POV
of view.
of the Bloods.
Yeah. I think quite possibly had it been hour-long episodes, we would have seen it. But as I say, we're only losing 22 minutes a week.
But why are they choosing some things and not others?
I don't know. We would need to ask somebody at Coronation Street why they thought it was important to have that scene with Sean and Izzy having a meal at the bistro together.
Yeah, sorry, but why? And then, but this is what I mean. They still have the same amount of cast. They still have the same amount of stories, but they just have less time. And the cracks are starting to show for me. And I've seen again discussion online, and some people are like, "Well, it's much better now." And if you don't think it's better, you're stupid. And other people going, well, it's worse now than it was, and we said it was, and if you ever thought it wouldn't be worse, you're stupid. I guess I'm kind of just tired of the discourse of everyone's an idiot who doesn't agree with me.
Yeah, if you're allowed to think our own things. I'm just, as I say, very pleased that I don't absolutely hate the half-an-hour episodes, which I thought we would.
I'm just waiting for the moment when they skip something that you think's important.
Oh, I know, it'll happen.
I don't think these things are that important. I'm just confused as to why some things are dropped out.
Yeah. Right, let's get back to what's going on with Ben and Steve. He gets talking with Steve, as I say, about this condition, but Ben's not still in the mood to talk about it, and he goes and storms out. I can't. I couldn't. If I was Ben, I would be. You know what I'm like. I'd be on edge if I thought I had potentially something wrong with me, because I'm the biggest baby, the biggest hypochondriac when it comes to health anxiety stuff. I'd be banging on that door of the hospital and say, give it. I hate it. I hate thinking that there's maybe something wrong with me.
Everybody feels anxiety about this, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No. I just hope he has a better time with his blood test results than I did the other week when they forgot to send them. And I had to wait an extra week and a half to find out the results of something that should have taken a day.
Do you think they would... I mean, how long does this take?
Yeah, that's true, actually, because this was Monday, and we're now on Thursday, and we still don't know whether he's got it or not, but I don't know. Maybe it's very complicated. I'm not sure. Anyway, we get to see another hallucination towards the end of the episode, because Sam's in the precinct with Hope, talking about the whole Meghan palaver, and she says, look, honestly, it's old news at school. People aren't talking about it anymore. I find that hard to believe. I think that if one of the teachers had been accused of having an illicit affair with one of the students, it probably would have been the talk of the corridor for a little bit longer than just 2 weeks.
But equally, Sam wouldn't... Hope wouldn't say if it wasn't true.
You reckon?
She doesn't care about somebody's feelings.
I think she does.
No, she'd be like, oh my god.
No, her and Sam used to date. They got a special
she
bond.
Is the sort of... She's a Nina Sharples when it comes to relishing giving people bad news. Yeah, I don't find this very plausible.
It does.
I wouldn't stop talking about this for years if this was at my school.
The thing, like, it is the Easter holidays now, and gossip and things like that do have a tendency to stop over the holidays. Although maybe they don't.
Kids now text
with their
other.
Phones, they won't, will they?
Apparently, they've all got these little devices.
Sam hasn't. He threw us in the bin. That's why he's answering his mum's phone.
Yeah, I'm just desperate for any communication.
There's a scene with Eva and Ben at the end of the episode as well. He's still waiting for his result to come through, and she says, "Look, at least you can check, and so you'll know one way or the other." It's not helpful. He's not taking it so well. Tuesday comes and we've got another scene with Liam, who we've not seen for a very long time and possibly we won't see again for a little while. But they're walking down Victoria Street. Him and Will, they've just come out of the co-op, I think.
Is this when we had the really dodgy line?
Which one?
Where Liam goes, are the rumours about you and Miss Walsh true?
The way that it was written didn't sound like the sort of thing that a 15, 16-year-old
They would be like, oi, did you get off with Miss Walsh?
Yeah. I can understand it if it was Sam saying it, but it didn't sound right coming out of Liam's
And you also
mouth.
wouldn't have been around this kid for days and days and days before you went, just casually, oh yeah.
Yeah. And you can't even say that it was a hallucination, because this was actually proper Will and proper Liam that were doing this, because they're walking down the street and then Sam comes up to them and says, just stay away from me, which is very brave of him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, probably Sam isn't the sort of person to stand up to that kind of thing whatsoever, is he? So it probably took quite a lot
very brave.
Quite a lot to build himself up at that. But anyway, Will tells Liam that Sam's just a weirdo. So... Oh, Sam, love you. Right. Meanwhile, in the magically expanding Rover's kitchen, Ben's looking through old family photos of him and his dad and Finley. Little photo booth photos, I think, wasn't it? Maybe I'm not sure. And Eva comes in and he says that I just can't get my head around this, and he's talking about the family thing, not the fact that the Rover's kitchen has grown in size overnight. Eva says that at the end of the day, family is what's important here. It's not about who's related to who, which I suppose she brings up the example of Susie not really being his daughter by blood. She's also feels a really strong bond to. I suppose Leanne is half related to her, isn't she? Through
they are related. Toya and Leanne aren't related at all.
No, they're not. And Toya and Eva aren't related at all either, are they?
No.
I mean, everyone's a flipping blended family on that street, aren't they? It's very, very modern, very 21st century in that street. There's not a 2.4 family children family among them. Not nuclear. What on earth is that? So anyway, Eva says, "Look, it's fine. Alan clearly loved you. That's what the most important thing is." And then Maggie comes in wanting to talk to him about it, but he still says, "No, don't want anything to do with you at the moment. Sorry, Ma."
What Eva's saying is true, but he definitely deserves time to process this.
Yeah, he 100%
And he's never going to get closure on this because both men are dead.
Yeah, exactly.
The only person left is Maggie, and I wouldn't trust her to tell the truth about anything.
No. there's a little scene with Lauren and Ollie where they're talking about this news that him and Amy are related. It starts to spread, doesn't it? The rumours this week, and they're still desperately trying to avoid Will finding out about it. But yeah, Lauren knows, Ollie knows, Gemma knows, Sean knows by the end of the episode as well. I like it how I can't remember who it was that said to Gemma about, I just want to keep this on the down low, and she's like, that's not how things work round here.
Yeah, that was funny when they said that.
That was a great soap line.
And it was good. It's quite like wise of Gemma to say that too.
It was very
it's a bit of introspection there.
It was, yeah.
Showing off her that Bernie is her mum. She's very wise as well.
But Ollie doesn't seem as frantic as Ben does about this heart condition thing possibly being passed on to him. He's a lot more que sera about it. But I suppose, is that just the naivety of youth, I suppose? And Ben's thinking, well, if I have got it, then I could start getting symptoms of it at some point in the next 10, 20 years. But he says he's proud of Ollie for keeping a cool head through it all anyway. Lauren was just being a bit of a cow about it.
Lauren was being a bit of a cow all week.
She when Amy comes up to the bar, Lauren goes up to her and is like, out new. Like she's digging for... Like, why is she so horrible? Why is she such a bitch? Honestly.
I think the icy blondes are in fashion on Corrie, because Lisa was being a bit of a
she was a little bit, wasn't she, with Jodie?
Well.
Was that the same episode? I can't remember. Amy takes Ollie away and talks to her about the test and also about the state of their, not relationship, but friendship, I suppose. And they don't want it to be awkward. But after all, nothing happened between us, did it?
Do you think something did happen? Because
No.
they were like, nothing happened, right?
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I do wonder how, would Amy have gone all the way with Ollie, considering considering what happened with her and Aaron, and it took a lot to build up to her and Ardy last year. So I don't know, but Ollie says that there's a little Pollyanna inside him that's always telling him to stay on the positive side
Pollyanna?
of things. I don't know. I was hoping that you'd get that reference, but it's you do a little bit of Googling. So anyway, Pollyanna says that he's got a new cousin. Hurrah, it's great. Another member of the clan. And then Lauren comes over and is a bit sarky about it all again. Bennett overhears Lauren and, good for him, says, look, if you want to keep your job here, just keep your big mouth shut, all right? And Lauren, she's just not even bothered. Oh, man, she winds me up good and proper. Like, there's nothing worse than when you're telling a child off and they just have got no reaction and they just roll your eyes at it, which is basically what Lauren was doing here. Why does she still have a job there, honestly? They're already way overstaffed.
Yeah.
There's about 10 of them. They don't need Lauren. And I'd love for her to...
They're not doing the character any favours.
No. I'd love for her to just be fired out of nowhere and see what... But the problem is she'd probably get a job back the next episode, wouldn't she? People are always coming and going off that payroll. But anyway...
Pollyanna is a fictional orphaned girl with a sunny attitude.
Oh, well, there we go. So, Will comes into the Rovers later telling Eva about this Sam being weird thing that happened earlier, saying Sam was saying I was intimidating him, what's going on with that? And Eva's like, okay, I better go and speak to Toya and Leanne about it. So she heads over to the bistro, telling the sisters that Will had said that Sam had accused him of intimidating him. And things like, unsurprisingly, Leanne and Toya took Sam's side, knowing that he is the epitome of truth teller. And like, cool, if he said he's done it, then obviously he's done it, isn't it? But Eva's like, no, my son, I know Will. He says he didn't, not at all. So Nick says, look, I think we should just keep Sam and Nick away from each other for the time being. Sam and Will, away from each other for the time being. He's flip-flopping all over the place. He's all for getting and playing video games and pizza by the end of the week, isn't he? Well, by Thursday even. Anyway, Eva realises she's not getting anywhere and clops out.
Do you not think that's like super perverse?
What?
Like, this kid is a victim of abuse and the person he's being abused by, who he is still loyal to, we all assume, has been bullying this boy. Why don't they just have fun with pizza? Like, seriously, do they not think for 1 second that Will is probably at least part of this conspiracy? Of course he is.
Yeah, there are some problems that pizza and video games can't solve, and I think this is probably
There's quite a few conflicts in the globe that you couldn't solve with pizza and video games, and I think that Will and Sam's is pretty high on the list. It's not the worst one yet at the moment, but it's pretty high.
We get a little action cam at the end of the episode, don't we? Sam's coming out of the chip shop with his bag of chips, and then Will starts coming after him. Hallucinatory Will, of course. He starts to run.
We still don't know this is true.
No, of course it is. Starts to run. When he's halfway down Victoria Street, he trips and falls over. Luckily for him, Nick's there to help him back towards the flat. But when Sam turns round and looks, there's no Will.
I thought you could say, lucky for him, he's wearing fingerless gloves.
To protect his little hands he hit the cobbles.
I have a real problem with these gloves.
Yeah, we were commenting on them during the episode, didn't we? Thinking that's not really the sort of thing that Sam would wear.
It's like, oh, I'm a waif.
Who does wear fingerless gloves? Is it that he's not cool enough to wear them, or is it he's just not?
It just looks proppy, doesn't it? In a TV show, it looks proppy, like, oh, governor, warm my hands by your fire.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Like, in real life, if you saw somebody wearing fingerless gloves, you wouldn't care. But in a TV show or a movie, it has some kind of significance, isn't it? It's like, if I'm wearing a hat, I'm probably mad. If I'm wearing fingerless gloves, I'm homeless.
Makes picking your nose easier though, doesn't it?
It makes using your phone easier, but he's throwing it in the bin.
Yeah, what's the point of that?
Exactly.
Okay, so Wednesday's episode, Sam starts off with a hallucination, and this time it's Will and Megan having a sit in the precinct and having a chat. And he's
a nice
still...
chat.
He thinks that it's real. It's still, the penny's still not dropped for him, of course, because he doesn't have his phone anymore. He can't take a picture of it as evidence. So what he does is he runs back to the bistro and tells Toya and Nick, dragging them out to come and see. Nick messages Leanne, but of course, and then we didn't see this scene, I don't think we needed to, when they get to the precinct, they're not there. So the whole clan go to the pub and tell Eva what Sam saw, and Eva's like, Will, get down here. What's going on? You in the precinct with Megan? No, says Will. I've been here all day. And Eva huffs... Eva takes his side and Will huffs off. I think, if anything, this was the moment when it became... if it couldn't be any more clear, this is it, that Sam's hallucinating, right? Like, Eva knows that he's been there all day. And I know that, I think Nick or Leanne said we could have snuck out, but... this should be enough to make it clear.
The thing is, they don't know what Sam saw, do they?
Yeah, I think, didn't some of them say, oh, it might have been somebody else?
Could you have been mistaken? Like, no, I literally couldn't have been, but like, what he saw, yeah, he couldn't have mistaken them for anyone else. But they don't know, he could have been standing the other side of the precinct, or... Yeah. It's still a question of, did he see somebody else and thought it was them?
Well, they all meet in the bistro again later, don't they? And Toya says to Sam, look, is there any chance that you could have been mistaken? And Sam, at this point, admits maybe. So it's maybe starting to dawn on him that he what he saw was 100% them. But I think he's starting to realise there's something... I mean, it makes you wonder, like, what other side effects is this medicine having? Is he still taking it?
Yeah, that's the question. We don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, we've not seen any episodes end where he's like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. This medicine will help me out.
Because they know that he had it, don't they? They know that he had this medication.
Yeah.
So if they do start asking questions, I'm surprised that the doctors didn't say this to them.
Yeah.
Like, he's been taking this medication, you might need to look out for this and this and this, and we're going to have to monitor him. He'll come back and have some tests to see if it's affected this and this and this.
I know that Sam is the sort of person who's maybe a bit more content with his own company, so things, sort of certain behaviours might go unnoticed because he does them, like at the end of the episode, by himself in a darkened room, which was a nice way to end Wednesday's episode, I thought.
Way to do things.
But yeah, Nick and Leanne, I don't know, I'm just getting the feeling that they're sticking their heads in the sand a little bit about it, and they're not picking up on
And
things
Toya.
and Toya, yeah, that they're not picking up on things that maybe they
This is
should
what I
have done
mean
or should
about
be doing.
Nick has been the most useless dad in the entire universe during all of this. His solution is stop doing that and let's go to the cinema. Stop doing that and go and play computer games. Stop doing that and eat some pizza.
Yeah.
It's like already he was eating chips and that didn't help. Also don't believe that Sam would go and buy himself chips.
I do hope that when it comes out that they have a word with themselves, that Nick and Leanne and Toya, and realise, God, we probably should have
I've
spotted
never
the
known
signs.
such helicopter parents be so clueless.
Well, especially Sam has already proven himself to be fragile in many ways. Like when he went mute for 2-3 months
And
after Natasha died,
traumatised.
he's not being himself, and we're seeing as viewers that he's clearly very, very troubled because he's just staring dead-eyed into the camera.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why aren't they picking up on this? Not
They
like,
are picking up on it a bit, but they don't seem to get it's that important.
maybe they're kind of thinking like they've not had to do a whole load of parenting of him. I know he's had his issues, but he's fairly self-sufficient, isn't he?
Right.
He's fairly mature.
And I'm also going to say this too, that, and this is no slight on anybody in this situation in real life, but you would have the understanding that you were in this situation. These are 3 adults, none of whom have raised him from a baby. Also, none of whom have a consistent track record of raising a child from baby to his age. They've been parents to various people.
Yeah, various stages of their life.
Toya has stumbled across this child in the past couple of years. Same with Nick. Leanne has got her experience of Simon, but they don't, and then Ollie, but they're not and they also, that he's an only child as well, which adds a bit of something extra on, there's no sibling there to go hey mum, he's acting weird again. They don't have a continuous experience of him at the age he is.
No.
Toya's got no experience, really. Leanne's got the experience of Simon, but not from a baby.
And Simon was a very different kettle of fish than Sam.
And Ollie, every child's different, and just because you've had a baby before or had a child before, I'm really talking about the fact that they haven't known him his whole life. It's more difficult. It's not impossible, and it doesn't mean you're a bad parent. But I'm sure that if you were the sort of parent who would care about it, you would be paying a bit more attention.
Yeah,
and also, none of these people are real, so it's okay.
I'd just be fascinated to know what's going on in Sam's head about it, because he is a really bright boy. He must be realising, he must know at this stage that there's something not right going on. Is he the sort of person who would speak to Nick or Leanne or Toya about it? I don't really know.
And I'm also not sure
It feels like to me he's the sort that would keep it bottled up inside.
How do hallucinations
which is what he's doing.
actually work?
Well, yeah, exactly.
I know I've had auditory hallucinations before where I'm not really sure what I heard was actually what was happened. I've never had something where I've heard something and been sure I heard it and nothing at all actually happened. I don't know if it's are hallucinations like they show you in fiction, where somebody just comes up to you and you're like, oh, this person is a real person.
I think we probably had similar conversations when Carla was seeing things back when she was going through her mental health crisis.
Is there a part of your brain going, this isn't real?
Yeah. Is it so... Because
you're not seeing it with your eyes, are you? You're seeing it with your brain. But your brain's the thing that tells your eyes what they're seeing.
Yeah. But the fact that, he's so vivid, you can hear him, you can see him.
Why is your brain generating something as an overlay as well, and not just the whole, why don't you go, I'm Willy Wonka's chocolate factory? That'd be quite handy, instead of having Will come up to me.
A different type of Willy there, isn't it?
They're both quite angry people, actually. Angry and hurt people.
They've got lovely curly hair. Thursday.
I'll tell you what Will needs is a big hat, just to be more like his protege.
His namesake.
No. Yeah.
Well, you said people with hats earlier are all mad. We know that Will's mad because he's glowering.
I'm really going off the Mad Hatter, to be honest with you.
Right. Okay. What happened today? There's another scene with Will and Sam in the cafe. Will is glowering at Sam. Sam disappears off I assume that's another hallucination there. Because, like, Will at this stage, we're mostly seeing this story from Sam's point of view, aren't we? Oh, I missed out, by the way, on Wednesday's episode. We also had the moment where Will found out via Amy that they were cousins. When she sits down and is like, what's going on, cuz? And it all comes out there. So, yeah, Will's got a lot to be angry at the moment. But he also knows that what he's being accused of doing with Megan, or what Megan's being accused of, I suppose, is true. So he'd be very stupid at the moment to be rocking the boat by antagonising Sam, wouldn't he? It's in his best interests to go along with what people say he should be doing and yeah, keeping everything nice and amicable.
If I was Will, I wouldn't like Sam at all.
Well, no.
So why are they trying to make them friends? It's like they've got no.
Well, I think Thursday's episode was very much an exercise in adults not really knowing the right thing to do.
No, being willfully ignorant and not listening or making any slightest bit of effort to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, well, Sarah suggests to Nick the whole video games and pizza idea, doesn't she? While she's...
It's like she read it in Cosmopolitan once or something like, oh, my boyfriend's sad, what should I do? Pizza and video games, done.
Although they do call them computer games, don't they? Which I don't think is particularly in common parlance
these days. What would you say?
I think I still say computer games, but that's because I'm old, like Nick.
What would normal people say?
I think they just call them video games. But anyway, we see a little scene later where Ben is trying to get hold of Finley on the phone, but isn't having much luck. And I thought that was quite interesting, having that half conversation. Well, the attempted conversation happening there, and that's often what soaps do when they want to introduce somebody coming into the show at some point.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, when is Finley coming? He's got to come in the show.
We've said ever since the flashback episode with Maggie that it was only a matter of time before Finley makes a grand entrance in Weatherfield. But yeah, having him try to phone him, he's going to come.
We don't know anything about this guy, do we?
No, I don't think so. It's not like a Dee Dee situation where they're always talking about her and what a big shot lawyer she was over in America.
Now, see, Maggie is so obsessed with her family and her boys. It's very strange to me that he seems to be so distant. And I think he has distanced himself from all of them as soon as he could. This is my headcanon about it. He saw his dad get pushed downstairs by his mum, or whatever you want to say happened.
Yeah.
As soon as he was old enough, he moved out of the house to get away from her overbearing nature, went somewhere else, and has not spoken to anybody in the family since.
Yeah.
And they're really distant, and he never turns up. He didn't come for Christmas. Nobody gets a phone call. Nobody talks about him, really, at all. So I think he's deliberately not speaking to any of them because they've got no idea what Maggie's like.
I wonder what Ben will say to Finley. He's going to say, did you know Mum had an affair? And Finley's going to be like, yeah, I did actually. And that's just going to feel like another kick in the teeth for Ben, isn't it? Yet another family member that's been keeping this massive, massive secret from him.
But this is funny because they can't have that conversation on screen. So by the time, if we do get to see Finley, by the time we see him, you would have thought they would have had this conversation.
Yeah, but Ben's not going to say over the phone, I've got some really important news for you, Finn. Can you book the next flight over?
And he'd be like, yeah, I'll be there in 6 months. They haven't cast me yet.
The only other thing we had in this storyline today was the final Will hallucination, which was when Will comes chasing after Sam, calling him a Harry Potter reject. Sad. And saying, you're just trying to get your dad to make us play nice together, and then Sam kind of rushes off to the Platts because Nick does say to Sam, we need to play together, and Sam kind of nods in agreement, doesn't he? But he doesn't really want to. So
Sam's like, I'm not a Harry Potter reject, I was in the wrong age gap for both of them.
He would have made a brilliant Harry Potter. I mean, we only say this because he wears glasses, and he don't even wear glasses in real life, does he? But I think he could have done it. I think he could. Any
brown-haired English boy actor of any age whatsoever who puts glasses on is like, you can be Harry Potter.
Tell you what, I wish you could. Which Harry Potter spell would Sam be using on Will at the moment?
I don't
Bit of Avada Kedavra?
No, that's the forbidden one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't care about that anymore. Let's move. Are we done?
Yes, that's that story done. I very much enjoyed this story this week. Last week was a lot more exciting, I suppose, wasn't it, with this story? But I thought that the follow-up And the fact that we had the revelation on Sunday was a nice little surprise, and the follow up just kept it ticking along nicely. Right, so Gemma, the Debbie storyline. We've already talked at great length at how it was a little bit of a confusing opening to Sunday's episode when she was already out of prison. And I just thought that we'd maybe get one more episode with Lou in, and now. Yeah. Who knows if we will ever see her again. But I will say that it was really nice that her last scene was a positive one. Yeah. It was them hugging and Debbie going, "Oh, Lou, you're great, aren't you?" And
maybe she can get out on compassionate grounds with no hearing because they don't show it.
if there's, if they wanted to make it so that when Lou comes out, she's a bit more of a reformed character. And I wouldn't want to change her completely.
No, I think she's very much like Becky, where Becky was always like not Becky Swain.
Yeah, Becky McDonald, Becky Granger.
She was so fierce and emotional in both a positive and negative way. Like she had no handle on her emotions at all. Yeah. If she was happy, she was so ecstatic she would get drunk and miss her own wedding. If she was angry, she would try to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't want to take that away from Lou, but it's more just the overt antisocial, trying to rile people up, and I think that final scene that we got with her probably did a pretty good job of prepping the ground for a hopeful return for the character. But who knows when that can happen? It's sure there's no way that it can happen anytime soon.
It doesn't matter. It's all just fake.
There's no confusing or mistaking the fact that she did hit Gary round the head. So,
but maybe people will come to learn that Gary deserved it when he kills Theo.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Okay, so do you want to have a little rundown about what she called herself? Deborah Webster today, didn't she?
Yeah.
Appreciated that.
The other thing I'm just going to say before I move on from moaning about this weird scene is that if you were to try to think of how do I depict somebody has been let out of prison without showing them coming out of the prison,
the big gates,
and I was like, oh, it's so passé to have the reunion or her celebrating or her talking to somebody or like establishing in one line, I'm so glad I'm out of prison. That's all passé and boring. You wouldn't ever go, I know what I'm going to do, I'm going to have her on swings.
Why?
Well, I mean, it's just such a weird leap of like, she could have been walking down the road with Ronnie and gone, I can eat that, I can buy that, I can do this, I can watch this, I can go there, I can do that. It's because she was alone. That was another thing that I don't think we really picked out. She was by herself, and we know that she's vulnerable and she gets confused easily, and she's definitely taken a turn for the worse as far as that's concerned. They don't necessarily know that yet, but why would you be by yourself? Anyway, I'll move on. I'm just saying there were so many reasons to be confused by this. I'm not surprised at all that everybody was, apart from the very smart people that weren't. So, Kevin, yeah, the first thing we know, really, for concrete truth, is when the scene with Kevin on Sunday in the pub, Gemma's serving him, he says, I haven't seen Debbie since she got out of prison because she's been with Ronnie. And then Ronnie comes into the pub and go, she's gone missing.
Need to keep her on a tighter leash, Ronald.
Then then we cut to her and we realise that this wasn't a dream. She is actually on the loose. She's on the swings. She's looking sad. We hear an ice cream van and somebody walks up to her and she looks up and she pretends that she doesn't know who it is, but she does. It's a fake out and it's Carl.
Oh yeah, she did, didn't she? Yeah, she's pretended. I think that like the swings and the ice cream was supposed to be kind of all metaphorical in imagery about the fact that she's regressing somewhat. And
but it's also, a role reversal. She's on the swings. Her son is giving her an ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's symbolising the future of their relationship, where he's going to have to take care of her, not the other way around, which is even more bitterly ironic, considering that she never got the chance to look after him when he was a baby.
Very true, very true. I think this week, although we'd seen flashes of, Debbie being forgetful for a second or having a TIAs. There were a few scenes this week or episodes this week where it really was like that we've taken the next step here, haven't we? Like she's definitely.
I know. I feel like I've been on holiday and now I'm opening the credit card bill.
That's a nice little.
I feel like we're having to pay the debt of all these happy scenes and episodes we've had of Debbie. Where the rent's due now, we're having to pay it back.
Debbie says, I think, was it in today's episode, like, about the MRI scan, like, there's nothing you can do about it. What could the doctor do? They couldn't have stopped it happening, and it was almost a way of telling the viewers,
we're doing it anyway.
It's happening, so we've got to have scenes like this, these horrible scenes this week.
There's an incredible medical breakthrough.
Yeah.
In the next few... This is the interesting thing, and I think I said this before. What would Coronation Street do if they suddenly went, we've just cured cancer and all diseases, and now you can't use them in Coronation Street? They'd be like, no! Oh, what are we going to do?
Emergency writers meeting.
Yeah. Come on, guys, we've got to think of something else.
Cancel 3/4 of the stories for the next 12 months.
And someone goes, all right, how about this then? People's legs can still come off. We can still chop their fingers off and their ears and blind them and things, can't we? Not every medical problem is a disease, you know, Kate.
So Carl and Debbie start talking about the
go back to the flat
crash again, don't
and
they?
he tells her, look, you know, to be fair to me, I only swapped seats with you because I thought you were dead.
Not true. Well, I don't think it was true. We don't know what he thought exactly, did he? Everything he's saying.
He knew that she was alive, I think, because I think he said her name and she was moaning, but I'm not. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, if only there was a way to find out. There isn't now. So he's like, I couldn't go back on it. I never thought you'd get sent down for it because you didn't actually do it, and it wasn't actually your fault, and the whole thing makes no sense if you think about it for too long. And she says, look, it's over now. I'm out. It's the main thing. I don't want to be a burden when my dementia gets worse. And he says that people love her and they want to look after her, and she says, I love you too, son. I'm sorry that I called you that. And he says, I don't mind. I'm going to pay you back and find a way to stay.
Because he's saying that he's going to need to, he's got to disappear, hasn't he? Because
I want
Fiona
to be
is apparently
with you,
after him.
But yeah, I've got to give Fiona some cash, which is £10,000. And she goes, don't worry about it. I'll sort it out. And then Ronnie comes home and obviously he's been looking for her. Now it's fine. Monday, Sean's claiming his cheap meal voucher at the hotel, and Debbie comes in with Ronnie, and she is completely ecstatic with herself.
Yeah, Monday's episode was a funny one, wasn't it? Was this the one where she goes off on one? No, it wasn't. That was Tuesday, wasn't it? When I felt that she was being a bit OTT. But here, she's just very much, I'm back, I'm in business, and I think she must realise, is she in denial? But she must realise that there's only so long that she can come out and
live like life to the fullest kind of person.
Yeah, live in the moment.
Whereas I would just be wallowing in a darkened room and crying.
I suppose if you thought that you were going to be in prison for years, then
she's like better than prison.
Even coming back to work, you'd be happy about.
Yeah.
She's got her front, hasn't she? She's got a makeup on. She's got a new hairdo. She's got a bright orange suit. She doesn't want to face the reality.
Well, she has faced the reality.
She has faced it, but she doesn't.
But she's
still,
like, I can do this anyway.
Yeah, exactly. She loves,
in spite of
hoteliering.
Everything, in the face of it all. Here I am. So she's like right back into it, and Ronnie's like, "Can you just take it easy?" And she's like, "No." And then she goes, "Right, get some Easter eggs down to the Michaela's kids. Told Lou I'd sort that out. So take 50 quid out. Then I'm going to give Carl £10,000. Then we get cut to Summer finding out about Debbie being out, and she's really furious about this. And Abby offhandedly says, "Oh, if she was even driving."
I can't remember what Abby knows and what she doesn't know about this. Does she know that? I can't remember. Literally can't remember. But the way Abby was talking there, it was like she was dropping a very obvious hint about something that she knew about. But if she did know about it, why was she sitting back and allowing Debbie to take the rap for it?
Who did know? Nobody. Carl.
I don't think anybody did, but I might be forgetting something. I mean, this was the first time we'd seen Abby for many, many weeks. She'd almost had 2 months off screen, but that to me felt like a little, just going to give the plot a little bit of a shove in a different direction, because we need someone to be suspicious.
But this is what I mean about things being forced to get,
Yeah, I agree. But
they're like, we need to do this in this scene, and that's it.
Things like this would still very much have happened when we were in a 1 hour format.
But I definitely agree with you. But I'm saying it's being accelerated and it's happening more and more.
We'll have to look out, because you've been mostly talking about this past week.
No, I've said this for a while.
We will see if it continues in this vein.
Well, she walks out of the shop and Summer's like, what the hell does that mean? At the hotel, Carl's like looking for the money and it's not come through. And she says, look, I've got to do it in chunks by a cheque because of money laundering. And Ronnie overhears this, and he also hears her saying that he's going to get his job back. And Ronnie's like, oh, why are you giving him money and a job? I can't believe this. And Carl's like, just give me the money, I want it now.
Ronnie can't do anything here, can he?
No, because it's not his money, even though they're married. So, yeah. I mean,
what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. But also, he doesn't want to rock the boat. He doesn't want to upset her. He knows that... I think
that they're both, because they're older and they have both got very established careers, and I think they're both loaded... I do think he's like, it's your money, you can do what the hell you like with it.
But he still looked very upset.
Yeah, but I don't want you to waste it.
He knows that she's tricking him, and
he's tricking her.
He's tricking her, and he knows that she can't see it, or she won't see it.
Yeah, but he's not worried about the money.
Not so much.
I mean, he should be, because you don't know what care she's going to need, and is she going to fund it? You know, she doesn't have an infinite supply of money, does she?
No.
At some point, his money's going to have to be spent on her care, depending on how long she lives and how much money she has got left. So I'd have a bit of a sit down with her and be like, have we really got £10,000? Because really, that would be a couple of months in a care home, I'm afraid. But depending on where you went and how much care you needed, it's not a lot of money, actually.
Yeah.
For that. So he goes and he hears that it's for Fiona. So he goes and finds Fiona's number and calls her up to find out what is really going on. So Ryan's back. Carl's back, supposedly working, and Ryan is getting annoyed because he's supposed to be bossing him around and he's not doing anything. And so Ryan's like, "You got a bad attitude, yeah. You got to pull your finger out and get on with your work." And Carl's like, "I can do what I want because I'm Debbie's son, and she's gonna put me first no matter what." And that is true.
Yeah. Well, we've seen evidence, no evidence to the contrary there, have we?
But he ends up realising that she's not as much of a pushover as he thought she would be, which was very delightful.
It came satisfyingly quick, because by the end of this episode, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was
the
next one. No. So Summer, it was with Amy and Asher in the pub later, and she is saying...
it was this episode.
She is saying, I don't know what to do about what Abby said to me. I'm confused about what even happened now. Ryan tells Debbie that Carl is a snake, and if he's gonna work out here, I'm not gonna work here. And then Debbie says, well, do you want a raise? I guess, or something. I'll give you more money if he stays for now.
Yeah.
Then Ronnie comes along and says, I've spoken to Fiona, and actually, it was $5,000, not $10,000. He's fleecing you. And Debbie's really upset. And Carl says, look, I just really needed the money. And Debbie says, I'm done with you. I can't do this anymore. But it's not that episode that she then gives him half and tells him he's got to pay it off.
Oh, no.
That's what I was referring to.
Right, okay, yeah. The big Debbie revealing, discovering that Carl was indeed fleecing her again. I thought that was very, satisfactory.
What did she expect? What does she expect him to do? I mean, equally, though, him saying, oh, I need £10,000, and then Ronnie going, oh, Fiona, he only owes her $5,000. It's not conclusive evidence that he doesn't owe £10,000 to somebody. It's just the same old story again and again and again. Yeah, because he's rubbish. So on Tuesday, Debbie says, look, sorry, Ryan, that I've made you piggy in the middle between me and Carl. You don't deserve any of it. And then she's trying to help out with this table. They're doing 2-for-1 cocktails, and Ryan's rushed off his feet because Carl's rubbish and nobody's helping him, and he's trying to do all these cocktails, and then Debbie drinks one of them, so now he's got to make another one. And so she says, oh, if there's an anarchy table, I'll take this free champagne over. So she takes it over them, and then she starts getting really hyper and over familiar with one of the women and calling her a good time gal and saying, oh, I know you like your drink and stuff, and this woman's not really enjoying being singled out like this. No, I found it a bit of a difficult watch. I think it was
It's because you know that Debbie, what's happening there is it's her dementia and it's making her act in a particular way, but it was still in some ways very much in Debbie's personality, wasn't it? Because she is incredibly larger than life. But it just came across to me, it went on for a bit too long. It went a bit OTT. Right. But I don't. I think I was just watching it going, no, Debbie, stop.
Yeah.
Or was I saying, writer, stop?
Yeah, but you don't know because you don't have any experience as to how realistic this was. So I wasn't watching. I was just thinking, if this is what it's like, this is awful. Like, I don't know where you're supposed to draw the line if you're a writer about that. I think it was probably quite realistic.
Yeah, I guess we've seen kind of all sides of Debbie this week, haven't we? Debbie when she's like this, Debbie when she's relatively normal, and Debbie when she is forgetting what they're having for dinner.
I mean, also, she was being really over-familiar, but the way they reacted, it's like she did a poo on the table. She's just being annoying. There's loads of annoying people who own hotels.
I think if I was...
You should watch the hotel inspector.
I think if I was in the women's shoes and the hotel owner came to me and was saying all that sort of thing, I would be...
Yeah, but at the end of it, they got... Right, first of all, they got free champagne. Then they said, we're not paying, and they left. Right, that's theft. And then thirdly... Debbie phoned them up later and offered them a free meal. So they've got hundreds of pounds worth of freebies because they got slightly offended that one of them looked like she might be a bit of a slag. Which is basically what she insinuated. So anyway, Mary and Tracy turn up to this table of women because it's actually a pre-wedding flower meeting.
Yeah.
Ryan keeps trying to rescue the situation, but she's not really getting any hints.
Debbie
she says, keep your hands off Ryan, he's hot stuff. She comes back again and she's put her feet up and she says she's sweating like a glass blower's bottom. She starts drinking one of their drinks. Tracy's just watching on, like, completely confused. Ryan tries to pull her away, and then Debbie refuses to leave and says, oh, look, you ate your chips really fast. Even though you said they were overcooked, you don't care because you're a fatty fat or whatever. And the lady's like, we're not staying here, we're not paying, we're leaving. And Debbie's like, what have I done? So she phones them up and apologises and explains. Honestly, these women are the worst characters in Coronation Street. Never mind the 5 possible victims for the flash forward. Imagine having somebody phone up and go, look, I'm so sorry that I gave you free champagne and then drank one of your drinks. But I am actually suffering from a debilitating mental illness that will eventually kill me. So do you think you could have it in your heart to forgive me? No, what free meal? What the hell is wrong with you? You already got a free meal.
I think that Debbie offered a meal. She said, come back.
Sorry, but if somebody phoned me up and said, I'm so sorry that I acted like that, but I actually do have this terrible condition, I wouldn't be like, yeah, I'll have the free meal, thank you. I would be like, look, you're fine. I'm really sorry that you're going through that. Forget it.
I don't know.
You already got a free meal offer.
I think I'd take the free meal.
You already got a free meal offer, you freeloading cows. They're a bunch of... I tell you what, when they come back, I hope that Ryan spills some wine down their fronts. A bunch of greedy, grasping old bags.
If I got a chance to go and have another meal and be in the presence of dear Raphael, then I'd take it.
How could you take money off this poor woman who said, I'm really sorry, I've got dementia?
I think that because we know her as a character and as a person, we're feeling a little bit more like that.
How much free stuff do they need to get?
Debbie's just some random business owner.
Victims,
it sucks that she's got dementia, but actually, I was made complete mockery of it when I visited today. So I will claim. I'd take the meal. I'd take the meal. I think a lot of people would.
Yeah, well, you already got a free meal. That's my point. And on the phone, it didn't sound like they were saying anything nice to her.
I don't remember.
I hate these women. I hope they all die.
If they come back with their free meal, I want it to be on a day that there's no episode, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they don't get any dinner at all. On Wednesday, Summer approaches Debbie at the hotel because they're all there having their girls' day out.
Yes.
And she just impulsively gets up and confronts her and says, is there something you're not telling me about the crash? And Debbie's like, no, you know everything that happened. I'm really sorry. Going over it's not going to help us. And Summer says, you're hiding something. Was Carl the one driving? And Debbie just doesn't need to say anything. She just looks like completely guilty. And Debbie's getting really upset and overwhelmed as Summer's sort of haranguing her to get the truth out of her. Amy and Asher come to back her up, Debbie, and Debbie tries to distract everybody by helping Ryan with some plates. She grabs them, but they're really hot, and she doesn't know. She doesn't let go immediately. She just kind of holds them and is confused about what to do. And then eventually, Carl runs over and sort of grabs her and makes her drop them on the floor. And then Summer confronts him and says, "I know it was you. I know it was you that did it." And it is all very awkward. Now, if that was my food, that's when I want the free meal. when people are having a drama in the middle of this thing and throwing my food on the floor.
Just imagine if this was the same women who came back the next day
They're
after
like,
being offered the
I
free
am
meal.
never coming back here again unless I get a free room.
And not that sex room that everyone else saw when
Yeah.
it has as well. I'm going to be running my black light all over wherever
Yeah, you better
give me.
believe it. I'm going to double check.
Yeah, so this behaviour from Debbie is what I was thinking of as when she's kind of taking a step further than what we've seen before, isn't it? That literally,
I guess this is
the reaction, the normal, the what's it called, reflex reaction that she should have had to drop these plates, but not knowing what to do. We've not seen her sink that low before in her, we've not seen the dementia attack her quite so, affect her in quite the same way. And I think, we've still got, I would hope, many months of normal Debbie.
I'm
for
sure
some
it'll
days.
go.
This is the sort of thing
Yeah.
that we're going to see more of.
I guess so.
And it was utterly heartbreaking, wasn't it? Like she did look a bit silly with the bandages on her hands.
I don't buy that. That's a lot. I was kind of hoping that people would write in, or I'd see some comments on Facebook going, "I'm a nurse." And that was ridiculous.
I don't know.
What,
Maybe
so
you
she
would
said-
just have your hands wrapped up like a mummy.
It depends on if your fingers were all burned up. But they do. They just cover her hands completely in bandages. They're like, you don't need your hands, do you? What do you use your hands for? Nothing. Well, you've already used your hands today, and look what happened to you now.
She's
so
probably like,
you can't be trusted with hands.
Can I have some of them fingerless gloves that Sam had, please?
No.
So at least I can pick my nose.
No, it's NHS, so you just get one big bandage over all of your hands. And it's going to be on for a week, so I hope you don't need to wipe your bum or anything.
It was like, I'm sorry for anyone that maybe has had these monstrosities on their hands, but it was like when you get in a cartoon and somebody falls off a cliff and then you see them in hospital and they're just head to toe in plaster cast.
Well, it's like
with
they're
like an
trying
eye poking out.
Yeah, or it's like they're trying to see how she would do playing the Invisible Man or something.
Yeah.
How are you with bandages on your hands? We'll start you off with that, and if you find it claustrophobic, we know not to go ahead.
So I was a little bit distracted by that, but performance-wise, Sue Devaney was absolutely on point. It was
It's also
utterly heartbreaking.
she looked so wayfish with these sad little tiny hands bandaged up, and
Well, it did. It made it
cupping
look
her
like a
mug.
little sad little penguin, didn't it?
Yeah,
Like with her
so
flippers folded
penguin.
up in front of her.
Yeah, like
Poor thing.
she's so far
Poor
from.
thing.
Where is it? The Antarctic or the Arctic? I don't know which one they live.
Antarctic, darling.
Why are you supposed to know that? I know
Commonly
the
known
polar
fact.
bears are one of them, and penguins are the other.
Sam would know.
Well,
Just
he's not
saying.
here, so.
Maybe he'd go to the Arctic and hallucinate that there was a polar bear there.
But
No,
this makes
my
no
whole-
loere sense.
that's how he'd know that he's
Yeah.
seeing things when he's seen the polar bear in the South Pole.
Right, so
Where were we?
So
Why isn't
they
someone
go to
reporting this
hospital.
to the police, by the way?
I know
Like-
she's just keeping it to herself.
Yeah.
She's told Carl. Carl brings Debbie home because they've gone to the hospital so she can get bandaged, and Debbie's just really confused and upset. And he comes over and he says, "Look, I promise I'll look after you, and it's not just because of the money. I want a proper relationship with you." And Debbie's, like, what about Summer? What if she, she could ruin everything? And Carl says, "Look, she does seem to know the truth, but she hasn't got any proof. And he's being very lovely to her."
Mm.
When was it then that she said you were going to have to pay off? You only get $5,000 and you have to pay it all off. I can't remember when it was. Maybe it was when.
I don't remember. Maybe I didn't.
You haven't written it in.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. So he's very lovely, and he goes off, leaving her and Ronnie.
I wonder. It's almost like he's no Theo. Theo doesn't know, does he? He knows something about Theo. Sorry, I forgot about that. Like, he's fairly safe in the knowledge that the only people that know this is him and Debbie. But does Abby
Here's
know
the
something?
question.
I honestly don't remember.
Here's the question: if Carl threw out Theo's name, would he get out of being the one responsible for the crash?
If he said
If he said that Theo killed Billy, so it doesn't make any difference what I did, Would they be like,
probably would, yeah.
I mean, how many people can really be sort of imprisoned for one death?
Yeah, I mean...
Surely there are circumstances where it's like, well, you all can, you know, if you hadn't done that, then he couldn't have done that, and she couldn't have done that, and they would have been alive.
I still... That's the problem with this story, that it still revolves around the fact that neither Debbie nor Carl caused that crash.
No, it revolves around the fact that nobody investigated this crash, and they just went, look, I see what I think happened here.
And also that in Emmerdale land... John Sugden, am I right in saying this, has been already not convicted because he's dead. Like, everyone is in agreement that he was the one that was responsible for it.
Yeah, but what you're forgetting is the invisible line between Lancashire and Yorkshire. And if you commit a crime on that border, then the person who's from Lancashire gets done in Lancashire and the person in Yorkshire gets done in Yorkshire.
I think it should be like neutral grounds, like when you're
like
out of ships,
the zone.
out at sea, like maritime law there's no laws.
What's
no
it called?
Man's land.
Yeah, the no man's land of the wilds of the Yorkshire Dales.
Get up to anything out there.
Well, many people have. So, when they're together and alone, Ronnie asks Debbie, do you think that maybe the fact you didn't drop these plates is something to do with your dementia? And she's like, yeah, maybe. And he says, right, we're paying for you to get an MRI. Okay. And then she says, what's for tea? And then he's like, we're going to go and get you sorted out, get you to the hospital, find out. And then she says, what's for tea? Yeah,
that was quite nice little subtle way.
I mean,
it was very obvious, but it was like sometimes, like, even when Mike Baldwin had his dementia, he would like drop in and call Penny Alma, for example, and it's like, I'm sure this sort of thing does happen, but it's like it feels a bit shoehorned in, and this to me was quite a nice sort of kind of upsetting way of saying, oh gosh, she's forgotten already.
No, I think she was like, I asked you once and you said bolognese, so I'll give you a chance.
I don't like bolognese.
To just come up with something else, and Ronnie didn't get it. Get the hint.
This did ring very true in our household, doesn't it? Because multiple times I'd ask what's for tea, and you get very frustrated with me. But maybe I got dementia as well.
You just don't care. This is why I get annoyed, because you ask a question that you don't care about the answer to.
I definitely care what's for tea.
But then you would remember.
No, I just got bad memory for things. But yeah. We both looked at each other and made the same comment. That's exactly the sort of thing that I would
This
say.
is the thing, right? Everybody can sympathise with some of the symptoms that Debbie is going through, and this is why it's really sad and alarming and confusing. Like, I remember even when I was, 14, I remember making a cup of tea and putting it in the cupboard and walking away because I thought it was the tea canister. And then I realised what I'd done and I thought it was hilarious. But when you're suffering from this, it's not funny because you know it's only going to get worse.
Well, yeah, like I went to put the milk back in the cupboard when I was making hot chocolate the other day, but and that makes it worse when people would say to Debbie, "Oh, don't worry, I do things like this all the time. Don't worry about it." But if she knows, no, this isn't just a normal everyday coincidence.
Joke. This is my life. Yeah.
Oh,
so
gosh.
On Thursday, they're going to they've been to the consultant, and she's fannying around with trying to make tea with her bandaged up hands. What's that Pokemon with the bandages all over it? The dog?
Or is it Pokemon? Are you thinking about Animal Crossing?
Oh.
No, you're thinking about Bones in Animal Crossing.
She's like that. So he's like, look, stop. The consultant says you're getting worse. And he's really upset. He's like devastated. And I felt a bit worried then because I thought to myself, I wonder if Ronnie has been in denial and he hasn't really processed until this point that Debbie is going to decline.
I think he has, but I think it's probably normal for you to just be, I don't know, just enjoying the moment while you've got it and it's still thinking like, oh, this could happen.
But
who knows when this is going to happen? I'll just think that it's not going to.
But imagine how difficult it would be.
And then the while will never come, but it has.
Imagine how difficult it is to be in a relationship with somebody who's going through this and they are just positive and you are like, who am I supposed to talk to about this? I'm devastated and she can't comfort me because she's the one that's suffering.
He's got his brother, he's a bit alright.
Well, you know what I mean though? I felt really bad. And I also felt like I really hope that they stick together through this because the worst thing that could happen is that Ronnie leaves her.
Well, they had the breakup last year temporarily, didn't
she
they?
broke up with him.
Yeah.
But how much can he stick this?
It's a very soapy thing to happen.
They don't know each other that well. How much, depending on how long she lives, there's going to be a point at which he's known her for longer with dementia than he knew her without it.
Yeah, that's not wrong. It's difficult because they were together as a couple for 2-3 years, completely off screen, and we barely ever saw them together.
But now she's had this diagnosis for like a year. That's a significant chunk of the amount of time they've been together, to start with. Yeah. Actually. Yeah. It's really difficult. But she's like, look, what did you think she was going to say? That I'm cured. We know this is going to happen. So Ronnie goes and has a go at Carl to kind of relieve his stress and think about, your sister had an MRI today. You need to, step up a bit more and,
Sister / mother.
Yeah, so Carl goes and finds her in the hotel and asks her about the appointment, and she's a bit cagey about it. And he says, look, I'm really sorry that I ripped you off and tricked you and stuff. I love you. I'm really sorry about what's happening. I know that you're the one living with it, but I'm really scared as well because I'm losing the person that you are now. Again, this feels really manipulative. Don't you think? I don't believe a word of this. I think he's just...
It's hard because he, to Debbie, he would come across as genuine. Well, if we didn't know what he was like and could predict where the story may well be going, you almost might believe this, but I just don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. Would it make
you a bit more susceptible to believing this as well? Because she's not in the right frame of mind at the moment, and I don't know whether he's preying on her. I think when he says "I love you," I don't think that that's a complete lie. I just don't trust him. She says, I've watched you take your first breath, and I've loved you every moment since.
Well, barely had anything to do with him for most of his life, but I do think that he has got real familial affection for her, but that's not enough to stop him from,
he doesn't care.
He
doesn't care about
in his own world, his own
problems
financial gain. He's thinking for himself. Screw who he's messing up.
Another thing about it is he probably loves her because he just sees pound signs when he sees her walking about, and maybe he's hoping that she'll die sooner rather than later, and he'll inherit the money. Maybe he's trying to get himself in the will.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
If you think
actually,
about it
is
from him,
very much in his best interest
to get rid of her as soon as possible. Yeah. Because if you think like what I said before about if you've got dementia and you're alive, but you need care and you can't look after yourself, that's so expensive. He really is looking down the possibility of not having any money at all from her when she dies, if she were to want to leave him any at all. Yeah. Which I assume she will do. I think that she'll tell Ronnie she's going to leave all of her money to him. Yeah. And then if you're him, you're thinking, well, don't want her to suffer. She's my mum. I love her. So maybe I'll make sure she dies before it starts costing too much money in care.
Gosh, I wonder.
I mean, he's very...
Somebody needs to bump him off on April the 23rd, I'll tell you what.
Do you not think he's the kind of person who would think that way?
Yeah, quite possibly.
There's lots of people that think like that about their relatives who are, daring to fritter away the inheritance on their own personal
Yeah. Well,
needs.
Unfortunately for Carl, there is going to be a little bit of resistance to his Machiavellian plans in the form of Kevin and Ronnie, isn't there?
Yeah, and Ryan.
And Ryan, yeah. But at the end of the episode, that's when Ronnie and Kevin specifically are talking to each other.
Well, yeah, because
Ronnie says, "I've got a plan to get rid of Carl."
Ronnie's mad because he sees them at Carl and Debbie at the hotel eating chip butties, which baffled us.
Did anyone else watch that scene thinking, what on earth are they eating?
I was watching it going, what is that they're eating there? When you have
Oats Northern cuisine, Gemma.
When you have a chip butty, you don't store the chips in a bowl, do you?
It's a deconstructed chip butty, only the very best at Chariot Square.
Northerners can make fun of Southerners all they want about not having proper food, not having gravy, not having bottoms of pies. All of that's rubbish because this country is not so big that we have such vastly different appetites and food. I love gravy just as much as anybody else, so I get very offended when people say I don't. But you've got to admit, as a Northerner, that if a proper chip butty has the chips in the bread, not when it's hot, so that the butter melts into the bread. What are you fanning around with this Ponzi bowl for?
It just looked
Who
like...
do you think you are, a London hotel?
It just looked like carbs on a plate, didn't it? It was like...
And the chips were just
few
enormous.
bits of bread. It looked like there were hash browns in there as well. Although, recommendation from us... Where was those hash brown fries from?
Now, listen, this is where our street cred of being down into earth and relatable.
Just like you, yeah.
No, we shop at Marks and Spencer's, actually.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah, what's it? Hash brown fries. They are absolutely delicious.
Yes, definitely would be
I'd have
very
those
fitting
in a
among
butty.
the menu of Chariot Square.
Yeah, anyway, like you said, the Avengers assemble and, David's crying over everyone dying, but Ronnie and Kevin are plotting revenge.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what form that takes. Obviously, it was very much a, hey, maybe Carl's going to die in a couple of weeks sort of thing.
Yeah, it was.
Although I can't see Ronnie or Kevin bumping Carl off, quite frankly.
No, me either. But it was funny how it's like, how many times have you guys pledged revenge on Carl in a little meeting of like the most unintimidating men?
Unfortunately,
Ronnie,
Carl is a lot smarter than both of them.
Yeah, Ronnie's got the muscles, but he hasn't got the brain.
I mean, he is a smart guy. I mean, he's a businessman.
But he doesn't think like Carl does. He's not sneaky and Machiavellian like Carl is.
No.
And then you got Kevin, who's just like, I don't know, can I headbutt it?
Yeah, Kevin, he's no use in the battle of wits, is he?
He's no use in a battle of anything.
I'm looking forward to seeing what form this supposed plan takes.
Well, last time they just went and told him off.
Carl's gonna not have any of it,
Didn't they? They just pushed him against the wall and went, don't do that again.
I think they need to enlist Ben in their battle against Carl, because he needs a distraction from his own family woes, doesn't he? And he likes, he's a tough guy. I'd have him on my side. Right, anyway, overall thoughts on that story for the week?
Fine. We've said it enough, haven't we?
Great.
What's the point in summarising it?
No, I'm glad that she's out, even if it was a bit odd the way that they showed that she was out. Very heartbroken about how sad that she was being. The poor little flipper hands. Right, so what's Jodie been up to this week? Monday, movie marathon at the Platt's house on Monday, because David's got popcorn, he's going to watch The Avengers, and Jodie says, oh, I'll come and sit with you and watch that. Well, she's like, oh, it's just superheroes, isn't it? And he's like, wow, actually, there's grandeur to it, and sacrifice. And Jodie says, oh yeah, I was supposed to be seducing you, aren't I? I will sit with you and watch the film. And then there's a funny little moment at the end about how David was getting choked up by it. It was very kind of inconsequential and just a little splash in the pan for the whole of Monday.
Splash in the pan?
What's the phrase?
Flash in the pan.
I say splash in the pan.
That's because you can't cook. No wonder. What are you doing?
But it was kind of funny.
Tell you what,
just a nice reminder that she is eventually going to try and seduce him.
I think it would have been funnier if I think David wouldn't go in for Marvel. I think he'd be into The Boys.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, because he's a sardonic psychopath like we are.
Oh, yes.
And he would watch The Boys, which is obviously full of just terrible things and gory and nonsense and stuff. And then Jodie would be, oh, I'll watch it with you. And then she gets to the bit where somebody gets strangled with their own doodah, and then she'd tap out and never be seen there again. She's like, I thought I was a psycho with a box.
Unfortunately, this was Monday, and the new series just dropped on Wednesday.
We should have caught up. But watching the old ones, we're confused about what's going on.
There was some bizarre prank playing on Tuesday's episode, wasn't there, where David decided to swap his bin out for Lisa and Carla. Him and those bins, honestly, it's a crazy obsession. So he says that his bin's cracked, so he swapped it out for Lisa and Carla's.
You say that like we haven't had about 20 conversations about our bins over the past month or so, because we've got food waste bins now and we're just baffled by the whole concept.
Tell you what, if they want to be in touch with reality, that's what Coronation Street should have a story about.
Everyone complaining about food waste bins and the foxes eating it, and are they even going to collect it? And I saw them collecting it, and they put it all in the same bin.
Terrible stuff.
Conspiracy.
But anyway, Jodie plays a prank on him later by telling him that she's been sacked over the whole bin swapping malarkey, but it's just a joke. And they just have a little shared giggle over love of pranking, really. Just some lovely bonding sessions before the big snog session happens at a presumably later date. Going back to the Carla and Lisa side of it, I stand corrected, I guess, by the beginning of Wednesday's episode when the decree absolute comes through. I thought that they were just going to blast straight past the whole tricky issue, the fact that Lisa is already married to Becky, but hey, just in time it's come through. What would they have done if it had been delayed by a couple of weeks? It'd have been stuffed.
The writing of this is letting these characters down so badly, I think. They would not be laissez-faire about this wedding. It's almost like the Swallow fans are being baited by the way that they're writing this. They're both type A's, right? It's
What's
like they
that?
don't, where you're like super like dedicated to details. Carla wouldn't get to be the lone female boss of a knicker factory for as long as she has done if she didn't care about details and she wasn't orientated on deadlines and stuff. Lisa is a police detective, and both of them are like, oh, should we send out some invitations for the thing that's supposed to be happening soon? Oh, we'll get Betsy to do it. And Betsy's like, oh, I'm just gonna put glitter in it. But neither of those women would want glittery invitations. Why don't they care about any of this?
Yeah, I definitely think that glittery invitations, like Carla and Lisa, especially Carla, she wants a classy wedding, doesn't she? And
She
I
said she
imagine
wants a big do. Lisa's like, I'm not bothered, but whatever you fancy. They do care. It's the way they're doing
they would
this. It's
organise.
like
Yeah.
It's almost like they're having a wedding, but they don't really care, and they're just doing it because they've got to have some paperwork or something. But no, this is a really meaningful wedding, not just for them, but for everybody watching it. Not just the Swallow fans, but anybody who's been waiting for decades for them to have two women get married on Coronation Street, right? And they're going, should I get divorced before I get married, or should I just do a Swain move and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
bigamist Arnold Swain.
When they were registering for whatever ceremony they're going to end up with, and the whoever the officiant is going through all the legal stuff. And
it says here that you're married to Becky Swain.
How much breathing time do I have for the divorce to come through? Is it okay day before, or is there like a week before, or what is it? What we're dealing with here? What's the timeline?
I think what you're forgetting though is Carla is used to all this time working as the boss of Underworld, where they're always one late order away from financial collapse.
It's
and
like,
she's
if we don't
it's
get
always
the divorce
been fine.
through, then we're going to be ruined.
And Carla says it's always been fine.
So I've also got a question for all the people that confidently told us all that there was no way that she needed to get divorced because Becky was declared dead. Then they were definitely not married anymore, and there was no need for any of us to worry about it, because Coronation Street definitely thinks that she needed to get divorced. So what's going on there then?
Well, we were right about that one, weren't we?
I would like to actually.
We thought that maybe just sweep it under the carpet.
I know they don't care about this, but I would really love to know from a legal standpoint, from an expert's perspective, like, is that true? I still don't think anybody actually knows. I know that lots of people very confidently told us that we were all silly if we thought that this didn't mean that their marriage was over as soon as Becky was declared dead, because I do think it does change things if you turn back up alive again.
Well, I wonder, like, how much...
But I don't blame people for thinking that, because I don't think it's clear. I don't think there's a precedent.
Did Becky need to give permission for this to
Yes,
happen?
that's what I don't know.
Because I would think Becky would still be the sort to say,
would.
nope, I'm not married, I'm not divorcing her.
I'm
going to drag my heels here.
Yeah.
Or is she just powerless to do that when she's in prison?
It's the one bit of power she would have left.
Yeah. And she doesn't seem to me like the sort to have given up.
But
hey ho,
going back
makes
to
it happen like quite neatly. So.
The whole thing, if you're declared dead, are you still married if you're actually alive? There was that case of that canoe guy who faked his own death and then he was living in the attic. Do you remember?
No.
It was like it was in this country. They made a TV show about it. Were they still married?
I don't know.
They must have been.
I don't know. All I know, like, when I think that...
Because that's the precedent. That's the legal precedent. It is. That's the only true life case I can think of where somebody faked their death and turned out to be alive and was already married.
I think that when Lisa put those handcuffs on Becky, she should have said, you got the right to remain silent, but not the right to remain married.
Do you think that would have been
Yeah, that's all it needs
snappy?
to be. Yeah, I would.
Anyway, they're celebrating because they can actually get married.
Yeah, so they decide to go and have a slap-up celebratory meal at Roy's, which gives Jodie the opportunity to be a little bit sneaky in taking Lisa's warrant card out of her bag. And I was like, ooh, this is exciting. What's going on here? Because she's got this box of trophies, hasn't she? She's got Bernie's face, she's got Brian's book, she's got various other things in there. And now we didn't see her put the badge in the box yet, did we?
No.
Although presumably it's going to end up
week.
there. Yeah, that was peculiar, because on Thursday's episode, basically all that happens is that she's been a bit of a Lauren at work and not getting on with anything, and then the bag falls over, the badge falls out, and she nearly doesn't put it back in again, but nobody sees it, do they?
No.
And then she starts review bombing Mel's website with 1-star reviews,
all of which are fake.
Yeah. But why didn't she put that in her box? Why is she taking it? I'm really intrigued about, because she can't use it. She can't pretend to be Lisa unless she's planning to dye her hair blonde.
She took it because Lisa was being a snot to her.
Yeah. So is that why she took? Brian was a bit of a git to.
She just punishes people by stealing their things.
Is that her thing?
Yeah.
People who ire her.
Well, it's not just
have something stolen from her. I don't remember whether Bernie had done anything to wind up Jodie before she took her face out of the picture.
I don't know
but
either.
Probably if we were to look back, we'd find out that she did. So that's just her little quirk, isn't it?
Just a funny thing that you've got. Some people wear a hat because they're mad.
Yeah. I wonder how often does a police officer need to present their warrant card? That's the question, because the end of Thursday's episode, Lisa still hasn't noticed. Unless she's noticed off screen, I don't know, because I don't know whether we saw any of that.
And then on the next episode's on tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes.
So maybe on Sunday, because there's one on Sunday, they'll be Kit will say, I can't believe that you got in trouble for not having the warrant card in that really exciting scene that we didn't bother filming, where the new boss told you off in front of everybody, and it was really embarrassing.
On the subject of Jodie, by the way, just in case anyone hasn't listened to the bonus podcast this week, she did get a shout out on Sunday's Emmerdale, didn't she?
Yeah.
Apparently, we've not watched it, but Graham, the guy who had her in the van. I
thought we said this. I got really confused because somebody did say to us about it, but I thought we'd said that.
We said it in the bonus podcast this week.
Yeah.
So Graham, the guy who had transported Jodie in the van, who she escaped from, has been stabbed in Emmerdale this past week.
Oh, no.
And he's told somebody that he was stabbed because they had hired him to get rid of a problem, and that problem was called Jodie. They're dealing with some very dangerous
individuals.
Stabby people here.
Yeah, stabby.
So I don't know, it feels, is this enough time, a week and a half, to have Jodie evolve into a credible potential victim in the flash forward? I'm still going to say no, but I'm looking forward to seeing over the next week where we go with this, because it's been a bit slow going, really, hasn't it? At least compared to some of the other storylines.
Yeah.
Because at the moment we're she's not going to get killed. There's nothing exciting going on with her at the moment. So I'm intrigued to know what she's going on. I want to know about her bloody dad. I want to know about what's going on with him.
I know. I just love that. I just love how rude Lisa was to her. And then later she's like, "Sorry, I was rude."
Very out of character for me.
I think she's great when she's rude to people. She's just I don't actually care at all what you think about me, because I'm not here to make friends.
No, she's not.
Literally, I don't care about anybody else except for Carla and Betsy. So
yeah, I made my one friend on the street. Yeah. That's Carla. I'm a main character now.
Yeah.
And I made got top of the episode appearances last year, so I clearly don't need any more friends.
She's like, I made one friend. It's too many friends for me, so I've got to marry her, and that's it.
That's what happened to me.
Right, Once Upon a Tim.
Yeah.
Is this me?
This is
my favourite.
You're doing this one, yeah, lovely Tim.
Right, so on Monday, Sally asks Tim about how things are going, because he was supposed to be contacting Tricia about
historic abuse.
Well, what happened between them when he was younger, and she says to him, "Oh, I've listened to a podcast about you shouldn't bottle things up." They're really mentioning podcasts quite a lot on this show.
Yeah, Maria mentioned one last week, didn't she?
Do you think they're doing some subliminal messaging for all of us podcasters who talk about Corrie? Because maybe somebody watching this will be like, I wonder if there's a podcast about Coronation Street.
Or what's a podcast? I'm just going to Google Coronation Street podcast. Oh,
look at all these lovely podcasts we could listen to.
This one looks best with the ducks.
This one's got orange.
Yes.
It's the colour of warmth and confidence.
You're sharing our marketing secrets.
Our branding secrets, yeah. On Monday, Tim finds Sally researching about Tricia online and says, I've discovered she has been made Employee of the Month at Freshco's.
Which to me is a little bit... Does Sally and Tim not go to Freshco's? Is that beneath them? Like, why have they not noticed
her working there
before?
incredible customer
and
service.
is it very, very coincidental that she so easily found, hey, this is Corrie, isn't it? I don't know why I'm
Michael, maybe
confused
she
about
works in the
this.
warehouse so they never see her, or she does nights or something.
Maybe she's the boss.
She's I declare myself Employee of the Month. So on Tuesday, they go to Freshco car park and they just sit there to admire the digitally inserted
Sign.
We assume sign on the side of the...
I didn't see it. I don't think I saw anybody else online talking about this, but that shot behind Sally and Tim's car with the Freshco's there, because we know that there is no Freshco's. There is a building there. It's the prop store is the grey building that the Freshco's sign was plastered onto, but that was a very, very, very...
You said it
digitally
felt very obvious to you.
added
It
sign
wasn't
there.
obvious to me.
They did not go
I just
out
knew
the
it
side
wasn't
of that
there.
building and hang a flag down there. It didn't look right. And the fact that the camera was kind of locked off, didn't.
They have
I
shown...
think they took out a bit of another building that was there in real life as well, like digitally.
The other... They used to show the side of the hospital building, or what is the Tony Warren building, as Freshco, because I remember... The bricks are going, the bricks are the same as the hospital.
It's literally all they've got at Freshco now is that tiny bit of car park, which if I just lean a little bit forward, I can actually see out of the window right now. But yeah, I suppose it's nice that they've added a little bit more to it, but it was fairly pointless and it just made me remember that.
Nice thing about living in Coronation Street is that the hospital, the school, and the Freshco are all in the same car park, all use the same car park.
I think they really need to update the logo. It looked like...
It does look very 90s.
It looked like a really naff 90s logo, didn't it?
No, it looked really good for the night. That's what the things look like.
Although, I mean, I don't think they had that logo in the 90s, but just the kind of cool blue colour.
It's not the sort of colour you would use for a supermarket, is it?
No, I don't think so.
I do know about branding.
What does light blue tell you in branding?
It's cold. I would think it was a freezer supermarket.
Yeah. I mean, it had been in the past, wasn't it? Because it was Furman's freezers before.
Well, there you go then. I guess it makes sense.
I would have. Yeah, I don't like it. I think they need to update it.
Well, anyway,
give it a bit more merchandising opportunities for Coronation Street, wouldn't it?
We've got a Freshco bag, Michael. You trying to make it obsolete?
No, it would make it vintage.
I do like the logo. I just don't think it looks up to date. So, he's going to go and confront her.
And then she's not there.
Yeah, that's it. Basically,
this was a bit of a time fillery sort of scene, wasn't it? Like,
exactly. Here
what's
you go.
the narrative purpose?
Not George.
I get that, with the whole will reveal, it makes sense now for Tim to be thinking about what's happened with Tricia. And maybe the Coronation Street writers are just like, well, we literally haven't got the time at the moment in the episodes to have Tricia in it. So we'll pay lip service to it by saying he's gone to find her and she's not there. I don't know.
Well, he comes back, he's done all his shopping. But he says that Tricia's in Spain for a fortnight. So on Wednesday, he's grumpy in the cab office and tells Steve in the pub later his head's been full of all this Tricia stuff. Brian comes over and hears them talking, and this is when Tim says, I didn't actually think it was a big deal or that I was taken advantage of. But now I look at Will and I realise how young I actually was.
Learned a lesson.
And Steve says... I'll
just
back you no matter what you decide, mate. It's up to you what you want to do about this.
Yeah. There was a nice scene where Tim goes and speaks to Ben, that in today's episode, where they kind of agree that they're going to be friends now. Yes. I think. So, yeah, I think those three actors all gel very well nicely together. So, yeah, a bit of a fillery storyline this week, but I suppose if they weren't doing anything about it or mentioning, we'd be moaning then.
We moan about everything. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah. So we got a bit of the Todd storyline, a bit of the doom and gloom story today. And this was really, really good in today's episode. We do get to find out, as we said earlier, that George is apparently going to sell up Shuttleworths. No, he's not. It's going to be fine. Can you imagine them rebranding it to Rest Easy?
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't say easy with me, I tell you. So Sarah goes along to see Todd because she finds out that he's not responded to George's messages. So they go and have this little surreptitious meeting outside the flat, and he's like, come in, quick. Don't. It's risky because she literally walks past the the door camera, doesn't she? I know
he stands in the way.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. He stood in the way on purpose.
I know she's short, but she's not that short.
We've been to Airbnbs where this has been an issue, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
No parties allowed. But what if I want my friend for a cup of tea?
So she's like, he's very defensive of Theo, isn't he? Saying, "Oh, what's it going to be? More baseless lies." And Sarah's like, Why didn't you reply to George? He's thinking of selling up." And he's like, "Well, it's not because I'm scared of Theo seeing the messages, I'll tell you that." So she asked him for a brew, and you can hear Theo kind of coming through what Todd is saying in the conversation, because she wants a biscuit, and he's like, "Do you know they've got 1.22 grams of sugar in?" And he says, "Well," she said, "You don't sound like yourself." "Oh, who do I sound like then?" He's really not taking this very gentle.
He's being defensive, and he's getting aggressive because he's very emotionally invested in them believing what he says when he says it's all fine.
Yeah, and he even, like, I don't know whether she was checking him out for bruises, but he accuses her of that as well, doesn't he? And then there's this noise from downstairs, and you can see this panic on Todd's face, and he kind of bundles her up into the bedroom.
Anything he says was completely made irrelevant by his reaction to the fact that Theo was coming home. He can say all he wants about, "Oh, you know, I'm not acting like him. I'm not afraid of him. We love each other. I don't have bruises. You're overreacting." But if you have to hide your friend because your partner's coming home, and you're terrified, that speaks volumes.
If Sarah wasn't sure at all before then,
she's seeing it happen in front of her eyes.
Yeah, even though. Again, I really, really enjoyed the scene where Theo, you know, the sick sadistic part of me, enjoyed the scene where Theo comes round and he's like, "Who have you had round here?" Like when he spots the two cups, he's like, "Who could it be? Our secret guest, are they still here?" And he's like,
and then he does this pantomime, doesn't he?
It was like, "Is she in here?"
He goes, points at the bedroom, and he shh, and he sneaks. It's like the big bad wolf, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and so he gets her from the bedroom.
Well, she opens the door. She realises she rumbled, and she opens the door and comes out very sheepishly.
Yeah, and he immediately is back onto his nicey, which is odd because I would have thought that Sarah would have had her ear jammed up against the door and overhearing some of what he was saying to her. Him, sorry, like. Well,
he didn't say anything, did he? He didn't say anything. He came home going, "I've lost something. Can you help? You know, I'm looking for it. Do you know where it is?" And Todd's like, "I don't know." And then he's like, "Oh, who have you had around here?" He didn't say anything. I thought. I mean, he said much worse than that.
Yeah, he has.
And then then this excruciating scene where she's forced to drink tea.
While he's saying, "I don't mind you being friends. You've got so much history together. Of course, it's
come
fine.
around anytime you like."
Yeah, so Sarah kind of leaves straight away as soon as she gets the chance.
Well, she drinks a cup of tea first because she's English.
Yes, and I was just like, "Oh, what's he going to do? And it was even more chilling almost what Theo's threat was to Todd, because Todd immediately is like, what are you going to do to me? Because he knows that line. There's no hiding the fact that he knows what Theo is like.
It's so frustrating.
Just leave him.
I know.
Anyway, he says, "What are you going to do to me?" And he says, "Nothing, absolutely nothing for now." And I don't know how much in the past Theo has been so overtly threatening.
It's really
I am going to do something to you, and I'm kind of enjoying it.
It's really become like, I am now the one in charge of doling out punishments. Like, I am the arbiter of what is correct in this relationship, and if you don't live up to it, then it goes without saying that I have control and I can deal out punishments that you deserve, and you have to just wait and see what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, you know it. You know this, Todd, as well.
Yeah,
and there's nothing you can do about it.
You're the one that's done this,
So
actually.
I think that this was a bit of a step up for Theo, actually, because before he's like often lashed out and then act like, "Hey, it was nothing. What are you talking about? It was just a bit of banter, wasn't it? It was just a joke. I'm not horrible." But this was him literally saying, "Wahaha, I am the villain, and you are my victim. You're my prey." And it was a really chilling end to the episode, I thought. of a pretty good week, to be honest.
I thought it started off a lot stronger and it kind of tailed off. You were still saying they were banging, but I was starting to find
I enjoyed
the pacing and stuff.
I think, compared to last week's episodes when we were having, banger after banger with all the Driscoll drama, it didn't quite live up quite to those standards. But as silly as it was, I was glad to have, as quickly resolved, as it was lovely to have Debbie out. I thought that she was being a bit OTT on that scene with the women, but apart from that, it was, it didn't skip it didn't miss a beat. I thought that because we're including it in this week's discussion, all the stuff with Maggie revealing about Jim, that was great. Love Ben. Jude's doing an amazing job playing Sam. I just think that they need to maybe hurry up the realization that he's hallucinating, presumably the Todd and Theo storyline is going to be ramping up next week, dropping it in at this, and not that it's Friday yet. Usually if they'll drop something on a Friday if it's going to be the big story for the next week, but I don't know, I guess that tomorrow's episode is going to have some Todd and Theo stuff, and it's going to carry on to next week as well. So I think I'm going to give this 4 exceedingly good cakes out of 5. And that was great. I was slagging off a little bit that scene with that. I think that was in the same scene, wasn't it? Or was it in a different one? I don't remember. Where people are talking about poetry. Yeah, it was one of the women says, "Oh, I like Kipling," and as soon as she said, "I like Kipling," a good proportion of the audience is going to be at some point. Debbie is going to say exceedingly good cakes, and she did. And even though it was very obvious, I needed that. So
I know,
thank you to the writer.
Not
of that
everybody
episode.
Who listens is from the UK, but there's a brand of cakes called Mr. Kipling, and it's like just packets of like fondant fancies and things. And the slogan has always been exceedingly good.
He makes exceedingly good cakes. So
yeah.
it was, you could see it coming a mile off, and it was so funny. What are you scoring?
I'm going to give this week 3.5 Harry Potter rejects, which nice. If there's only half, automatically rejected.
I don't know who I'm going to go for my character of the week this week. It always seems so easy to go to Debbie, doesn't it? But Maggie was quite good, although she dropped off maybe a little bit during the week.
Carl, Ben,
really, the Jodie, Tim, Todd, Theo storyline, they didn't really play a part at all, did they, compared to the other ones?
Well, they did, but they just weren't as...
Yeah.
The main stories were Ben, Maggie and Steve, and Debbie, Carl and Ronnie. Yeah.
I'd like to be in a position where I could say either Eva or Toya or Leanne, because they did the right thing, but they didn't. They're all missing some glaring signs here from Sam, aren't they, sadly?
How about figment of imagination that is the hallucinatory Will?
Hallucinatory Will's out, yeah.
I think he's my favourite because he's not afraid to say what he thinks. Comes out and says it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He's very
filter.
He knows. Yeah, he's a go-getter type.
I am going to give my character of the week this week to... I'm
definitely not giving it to Sam or Nick for leaving the rubbish in the middle of the road. Just because you fell over and your chips are no longer edible does not mean you can leave them in the middle of the road.
Very good point.
Last person who did that was Pat Phelan, and look at what happened to him. Turned out to be a serial killer.
I was going to say Sam, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just because I really like Sam.
He also gets a strike for his terrible fashion. Those gloves. No. Not doing anything for you.
I can't decide. I kind of want to give it to Debbie, but then almost I don't. No, I'm going to give it to Debbie. I'm just going to... The path of least resistance. Debbie's my character of the week. She was great. Little flub with the OTT-ness on Wednesday, but I thought she was very watchable and very wonderful.
Yeah, I think the same. I think that she deserves it again.
Oh, there we go.
It is can she stop being quite so brilliant? Because...
I know, she's making everyone else look bad, to be quite frank. Come on, Debbie. Stop being so fabulous. There we go. That was this week's Coronation Street so far. Who knows what's going to happen in Friday's episode? Probably a grand deal of the listeners listening to this because they've already listened to it.
12 hours and we will know.
Yeah, very, very true. Right, Street Talk is done.